ready? Right now on 710, we're taking off with 9 hours of live and local LA Sports Talk.
The home of the 9-hour LA Sports Mega Block.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking.
We call it the LAX, LA Sports Mega Block. Of course, powered every day by LAX, Los Angeles International Airport, where change arrives daily. Let's get to it. Time to get in the air. We're taking off, LA.
We have clearance, Clarence.
Roger. What's our vector, Victor?
Travis and Sliwa has clearance right now.
Yeah! Happy Friday to everybody out there getting ready for a great weekend. We got a little Rams preseason football.
Yeah.
You're going to go see Fernando tonight. It's a pretty good weekend, Yates.
I think I'm having what I would qualify as a legitimately big weekend. Fernando tonight, I'm going to the game at SoFi on Saturday.
Oh, you are?
A
Okay.
bunch of the station folks are going. I will be
Bolt
there.
up?
Listen. All right, for those of you who don't know, I am a fake me out Chargers fan in the best way possible, just because I like saying bolt up, and they have sweet uniforms.
They do have good
So I'll be there for that. And then, like I told you, Sunday I'm going to an event at
Have you
at
been
HP.
to a...
I've never been to SoFi in my life.
Oh, really?
Never once.
Okay. Have you been to an NFL preseason game before?
Oh, certainly. I've been to many NFL games in my life. As a matter of fact,
preseason.
No, yeah, I know. And I'll tell you a story. I realized that. So for years, my dad had tickets to FedEx Field and RFK back in the day.
Okay.
And so I've probably been to, I'd say, 50 NFL games that Washington played in, all of them at home over the course of my life. And then one day when I was in college, because I went to college outside of Cincinnati, a buddy of mine invited me to a preseason game. And I was like, I brought a sign, like I was into it. This is when I still actually cared about the NFL. I brought a sign.
What did the sign say?
It said, so Cincinnati fans say who dey, like who they think they're going to beat the Bengals. So mine said, and I'm realizing now that it's part of a story, it said Skins Day, and that's what it said. But I was sitting behind, the reason I brought it is because I was sitting behind the goalpost, so like you could see it on TV. That was the whole deal. And that was the first time I realized, I was like, oh, people don't like you if you root for the other team in the stadium.
How old were you?
And like I was probably 20, 21, and like I legit almost got into a couple fights with my buddy there with me, and that was the game where Clinton, great on the top 5 Clintons list. Clinton Portis got injured, busted his shoulder after an interception. He tackled a guy, and that like derailed his career.
Yeah.
Like, and I will never forget that. I was like, yeah, don't tackle people if you're an offensive player in preseason football. That's what I remember.
I remember going to my first preseason game. I will not be at the game on Saturday night because I will be in here on Saturday night doing the pregame show, which we start at 4 o'clock, yes?
Yes, we start at 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock with our pregame coverage, me and Kirk, and then Beto and I will have the postgame show immediately following the game. So
good to note.
I will be busy on Saturday
Breaking
for that
down
as well.
that hot preseason
Can't
action.
wait. Well, look, there's a couple of things. Look, I'll be honest. I am not going to sit here and try to sell you that this is going to be great. There's a reason I asked you if you've been to a preseason game. This, Emily, having been through all of Sean McVay's preseasons up till this point, the Sean McVay preseason, full stop, is not great.
No.
Sean McVay preseason is even worse because
So
they
he plays
don't
nobody.
use anybody. Yeah. They're going to play people this year.
Why?
Because they have no choice.
Oh.
They have to figure
so
out who
many
they
rookies.
have. They have 40 rookies on the roster.
40 rookies?
40 rookies.
Wow.
So they're going to have to – Stetson Bennett's going to play tomorrow night.
Okay.
They're going to play some of their starting Steve Avila, their top overall pick. He's going to play. So we're going to get to see some of those guys.
And I think the whole thing about preseason, too, it's like, as we saw from C.J. Stroud yesterday, it's like you're not going to be able to see how – you can't really see how good someone can be, but you can see how bad someone can be.
There are some alarm bells that can be set. Like if you go out there and you look great, it's like, yeah, cool. They're not trying to stop you. There's no scheme.
You're supposed to look great.
You're supposed to look great. But if you go out there and lay an egg, that's not ideal.
Is there any chance my favorite baseball player in the NFL, Justin Herbert, plays a snap?
I wouldn't. I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't know how Staley does that.
I highly doubt it.
Yeah, I don't think he'll play it. Dang.
Patrick Mahomes plays.
Yeah,
Tom
that's
Brady
true.
played.
That's
but
true.
like in the later games, not
Patrick
the very
Mahomes,
first
my
games.
second favorite baseball player in the
They
NFL.
play. But Andy Reid has a different philosophy. It's the philosophy of the head coach. But that aside, I went to my first NFL preseason game. I was probably I don't know, 13 or 14.
Okay.
And my dad took me to a Rams, and I want to say it was a Buffalo Bills preseason game
All right.
at the Big A
Yeah.
when the Rams were down in Anaheim. And I was so excited to go. I didn't quite understand what preseason football meant. And this was in the 80s, right, where these guys would still play. And I forget who the quarterback was. It might have been like Vince Ferragamo or something like that. And they come out, and he plays a series or two. I'm like, this is great. And then all of a sudden, who are these guys?
Right, nobody
I've
knows.
never heard of these guys, and they've just turned that up to 10,000 now in the 21st century.
I plan on making this my maiden voyage. This is a trip to SoFi.
I'm surprised you haven't been through there
Yeah,
yet.
I mean, let's think. I haven't been to a Bolts game. I certainly haven't been to a Rams game. I've turned down a couple concert opportunities, which is what I would most likely have been to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
But, I'll be at the ballpark. That's where I'll be. But I plan on using this as an opportunity to see the facility
It's amazing.
of SoFi. That is what I'm looking to do. I also want to find those Taylor, don't they have like banners or whatever for her?
They
there?
probably took them down though.
Oh,
Yeah, I would assume as soon as it was out over, they took down the banner. So sorry.
You will be
That's
There's
a
probably
major
still
disappointment.
glitter there, so
Okay.
don't worry about that.
like floating in the air
Right.
still, or like
Yeah.
down on the ground.
Particles.
Like it's just in the ether.
You'll
And
just
so
find
it's
it
never-
on your clothes at some point in
Right,
time. You're like,
that's-
where did this
that's
come
true.
from?
You know, like sometimes you can go into like a new apartment or a new house,
Mm-hmm.
and the previous occupant was a smoker, and you're like, okay, I
Yes.
gotta clean this up. And you can paint, you can change the carpet. You're like, it's never leaving.
not going anywhere.
It's just in here for good.
There's some feathers from boas. There's gonna be
It could be
glitter. It's gonna be a lot.
all
Man,
of those
I was really
things.
looking forward to finding a Taylor banner, but
Yeah.
okay.
I'm
Yeah.
excited to talk to you on Monday. I'm excited to get
Yes,
your review
no,
because
it's going to be fun.
this is not a flex. This is just the work that I do.
Yeah,
I've
you're
been
there a lot.
inside, I don't know, 30 times,
Right.
give or take. Every single time I walk through those gates, I'm like, this is unbelievable.
Okay. All right.
And I have the same thing. It looks like a simulation. It's so clean and it's so new, and the colors are so vibrant when you
Right.
come through there that it feels like like you turn on Madden and it starts to go.
Yeah, it starts to do
It feels
things.
like that.
I mean, mind
But
you,
it's also very much a spaceship in which sometimes you want to get to a half floor and you can't get to that half floor. You have to take an escalator or an
Yeah,
elevator
you're
up to
right
this half
about
floor.
that.
That's what happened to me at the Taylor Swift concert. We're trying to go to our section was like 249 or whatever, and we walk in. You walk in on like a floor, but you have to go down a floor to get to the 200 level, and then you had to take an escalator because the elevator was too crowded, and then I had to also show through a VIP section. It was a lot.
I
So
plan.
just be
I
worried.
plan on employing a chaperone. That's how we're going to do
Are
it.
you press boxing it?
I'll take it to. I think it's not press box, but we're in the station has a suite. From,
Oh,
my,
right,
from
yes,
my
yes.
understanding, so that's what we'll be doing. So.
Yeah, I've been there 4 times, and the 4 times that I've been there, Carlos been there with me, and he says, "I'll meet you at the media entrance." We meet there. He takes me to these elevators, and he knows his way around that place.
So Carlo's the guy.
Carlo's the
okay,
guy.
so Carlo's going on
He knows
Saturday,
what's
so I
up.
should
Yeah.
pay
You
Carlo
need
$50.
a Sherpa.
Yes,
You
okay.
need somebody that no, not that. Nope. That's if
mystery-
you go through that door, you're never coming
A
back.
lot of
'Cause I got
mystery
lost
doors,
the
I
first time I was
imagine.
there.
Yeah, mystery doors freak me out. I don't like it, but I don't know where I'm going.
I know how to get where I need to go.
Sure.
And beyond that, I'm not your
It's
man.
a mystery. Okay.
I'm not
All
your
right.
man.
Good to
I
know.
can get you from our pregame show location to the press box, and back out again.
All right.
That's about it.
Okay.
And then down to our radio location to do my halftime hits.
Right. All right.
That's it.
Well, that's good to know. I'm looking forward to
I also know
exploring.
the 2 kitchens that exist and where the food comes out.
That's a critical piece of
You walk by
information.
those.
Both of them. Well, where we set up in the press box, there's press box. There's
How nice
always
is the press box?
Oh, it's
Is
dope.
it
Very.
gorgeous?
Oh, man. And they
Yeah.
got
Espresso
full,
machine?
and they got full-size candy bars up there.
It's
Full size
Yes.
candy bars.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I might
yeah.
have to find a way to the press box.
They have Mountain Dew.
and they got those cool aluminum cups.
Yeah.
Oh,
right.
yeah.
That keep
Really?
It, oh yeah. No, it's.
Oh, I might have to
legit.
hit somebody up because I don't like being able to go. I don't like going to a place and not entering the press box, even if I just look at it. You know what I'm saying?
It's a good one.
All right, this will be a big juxtaposition to
Just
the
flash your
115-year-old ballpark. Exactly.
Yeah.
115-year-old ballpark I was in last week. This will be a opposite
Yes,
end
this
of the,
is not that.
I might have to flash the smile, Em. This might be a flash the smile situation.
This is a $6
Yeah.
billion edifice, and it feels like it.
Okay, good to know. Good to know.
Here's one of the nicest things I can say about it, and I think I've said all the nice things about it. There's not one point that you're going to walk through and go, they could have done that better.
Okay.
There's none of
Not
that.
even the bathrooms?
No.
All right.
No.
All right.
There's not one thing. Oh, they decided not to go do the right thing.
Is
here.
it
It's amazing.
Is it a urinal wall situation or is it a? How do I explain this? Are there dividers between?
Oh, is
Yes.
it like Dodger Stadium? No,
Is it,
it's not like
is
that.
it a
there's a-
Harambe situation, as some of my friends call it?
The one that I use most frequently, there are partitions.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Just wondering. You know
And
what I mean?
it's clean as
It's
a
always
whistle.
interesting to see how that goes down. It's like, oh, no, we made that
Thankfully,
decision.
we've progressed to the point where it doesn't. I think all the troughs in Major League Baseball.
I mean, they don't have to be troughs for them to be wide open.
No, I
You know what
understand
I'm
that, but
saying?
the trough was like, dude, really? We're troughing? I remember.
I don't do troughs anymore. I just don't have
I think they're all gone.
I don't have the composure to deal with a trough at this age.
I
of my-
remember
stage of
going
my
to a
life.
Dodger game with my dad and like, wait, we just all line up at this trough? Like, really? This
Also,
all right.
what's the ice for, guys? What's the ice for?
Here's I'll answer that question because it's here's the
How
thing.
do you know about the ice?
It's been brought up many times this area. You just don't know.
I brought it up.
Okay. I'm like, what?
The ice is an indicator of you're in a nice place.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
True, because
That's all it is.
It's somebody cares enough to dilute what's in there before it goes down.
It is. You have never been to a gross place that has ice. It's
true.
You have, every time you see ice, you're like, this is a pretty good spot.
What's the ice for?
That's the answer. To
First
the
place
question.
I'm going when I get into SoFi is to the bathroom. That's going to be
Ice, baby.
stop one.
It's,
I love it.
You will be pleased.
Seats
glad.
are comfy. They're nice and they're nice and big, nice and plush. There's
Okay.
like enough room in front of you and the seat in front of you, like that people can walk by.
What's the Wi-Fi situation?
Wi-Fi?
Really good.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Really good.
How about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, well, let me, a quick qualifier. I'm on the press box
In the
Wi-Fi.
press box Wi-Fi. Okay.
It A plus.
I am not above using press box Wi-Fi while sitting in the crowd. I've do
But-
this frequently.
I was not able to use any of that Wi-Fi for Taylor Swift. I was on the opposite side of the stadium though, so I don't know if
Yeah.
it's something that's like
Okay.
restricted to this certain area. So just forewarning, I do not know if it's all over the
I
stadium.
wonder how
that way.
full the building is going to be now that I
Not
think
very.
about it. Not very, yeah. Not going to be a
very.
T-Swizzle situation.
no,
Not
it's
a chance.
preseason football.
Yeah, well, you never know. I mean, it's
No, I do
Rams,
know.
Chargers,
I'm
double home
Battle for
occupants.
LA.
You know,
Chill, relax.
Come on, man. Don't do that.
you just wanted to drop that. I don't know. You never know.
No, I do know. That's what
Okay.
you're not listening.
How many people do you think will be there? Do you think it'll be half full?
30,000.
So that's
less than half.
less than half. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
I'll be there.
It's, you know what it is? It's a good way to get in the building if you are priced out or you're unavailable.
Yeah, and
to
I don't
go.
or uninterested. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
in showing up to an NFL game
Yeah.
necessarily. Right.
What,
Okay.
what created your? No, I don't want to say contempt, but disinterest.
I just NFL. So after Sean Taylor died, and you got to understand where I'm from. Like the football team was a headache, and I like football enough, but I like it as a social activity. But as a sport, it doesn't particularly interest me that much. So as football has become this like huge behemoth of whatever, I watch football. I covered football. I know a lot about football. I'm just not going to go to an NFL game.
you don't know enough about it to know that there's not going to be anybody.
No,
there tomorrow.
I just thought that maybe people like going to SoFi enough that they would show up to see
What is
some
this,
garbage teams.
This is the fourth year where we've had people in it, or third?
I
Third
think
year
it's
with
the
people.
third, fourth year
with
existence.
their playing in it.
But it could be such a party spot that people like showing up just
It is.
to get hammered.
It's a good time.
But
I'm excited
NFL
for you
games
to
are
see
just,
it.
it's too many idiots trying to prove things that have nothing to do with actual football. And it's just, they're bad crowds at NFL games. I don't like dealing with that crap.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
That-
you know what I mean?
that
Like,
can-
that's
that
a
can-
real,
that can
it's
frequently
a
be
real
true.
part of life for the NFL.
All right, Fernando Valenzuela gets his number retired tonight. Yates is going to be in the house. We're
I
gonna
will.
talk about some of our favorite Fernando moments and what happens next. It's coming up. It's Travis Slee. Yates is in for Slee on 710 ESPN. And for the ones who get it done, Grainger offers high-quality supplies and solutions for every industry, as well as access to product specialists who have the knowledge and experience to answer your toughest questions. Plus, their commitment to being your safety partner can help you keep your facility safe and your people safer. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by.
Today
With only 8 teams remaining in the inaugural League's Cup, the Black and Gold are looking unstoppable.
Black and Gold moving on to the quarterfinals of the League's Cup.
It's a massive showdown with Mexican giant Monterrey at the iconic Rose Bowl.
Oh my goodness, Denny!
Tonight, it's win or go home as LAFC collide with Mexican side Monterrey. Coverage begins tonight at 7 p.m. on 710 ESPN and the ESPN LA app.
I am genuinely bummed out that I can't go tonight. I'm jealous that you are. I'm excited that
I'll
you
be
are.
there. Yeah.
It's going to be great. Had I not had a previous engagement, I would have been all over it. Way overdue, but I'm glad it's finally happening. Fernando gets his number retired. Number 34 goes up with the Dodgers don't have a ton of retired numbers. They had a decent amount, but they're all Hall of Famers with the exception of Jim Gilliam. And now Fernando becomes the second non-Hall of Fame player to get his number retired by the Dodgers.
I sent you a text yesterday that I told a buddy of mine. Well, a buddy of mine sent me a text. He was like, yo, Fernando getting his number retired. I was like, yeah, I'll be there. And I said to him exactly what I said on the air yesterday. I said, by the way, I had to inform Los Angeles that in case you didn't know, the most famous Los Angeles Dodger of all time is probably Fernando Valenzuela. And he wrote back, there's no doubt about it. And it's been surprising to me to realize that, like, a lot of Dodgers fans don't realize this has been a huge miss, like, largely amongst everybody, not just amongst Dodger fans, for a while. So Beto mentioned that he'll be down at City Hall today, where he's getting, I guess it's the key to the city or Fernando Valenzuela Day, whatever it may be. And I'm really looking forward to it, just as a cultural experience to be at the ballpark, because I imagine that A, there's going to be a ton of jerseys, and B, it's going to be one of those multi-generational deals where people bring every member of their family possible.
And I know that there are people, like Jorge, I think you're a perfect example of this, that appreciate it, know it, and all things, but you didn't experience it, right?
I did not.
That you're not old enough to have experienced it. As someone who did experience it, and someone who was a relatively young, when Fernando broke in, I was 10 years old.
Right.
Perfect. Right, absolutely.
That's when you're
perfect.
paying attention.
That's when you're paying attention, and you're learning to love these things. And the cultural impact, obviously, is in large part while we're finally getting around to retiring his number the way that they should have done a long time ago.
Right.
But I do not want to skip over the fact of how good he was.
Yeah.
It's not just that, oh, hey, he's from Mexico, and there are a lot of Mexican immigrants in Los Angeles, a lot of Mexican Americans in Los Angeles that are fans of somebody that came from where they came from. He was unbelievably good. This was a guy, and I read this morning, in his first 18 career games.
Okay,
you ready for this? 10-0, 10-0, 5 shutouts.
Wow.
8 complete games. And he had a 0.4 ERA.
I mean, that's as untouchable as it gets for a long period of time. 8 complete games is, again, we were talking about this earlier. 8 complete games is, like, complete games now are a stat you just don't see. They just don't, especially not with this roster. I mean, with this franchise, it just doesn't happen. But
The roster.
It's amazing to me how to explain this? I have so much respect for guys who have a large number of complete games on their resume. Tons of respect. And, like, amongst all the things that they did, dudes who could get through 9 innings, to me, is something that it feels like Superman. You know what I mean? It just does not happen.
Not something
these days.
that's done anymore.
It doesn't happen at all.
Or even attempted.
Right.
Like, it's just it's all, you know what it's almost become like? Almost like a no-hitter.
Sort of.
That they just don't come around, and the only way you get to a complete game is if something
if you're throwing
happens.
a no-hitter.
A no-hitter,
right.
or you have this crazy low pitch count where you pitched 7 innings and you've thrown
like Ohtani
75
like 2
pitches.
weeks ago when he threw that complete game, but in a doubleheader.
Borderline miracle. Yeah, exactly.
And he threw, I want to say, 98 pitches.
That was a lickety split.
But it has to be that, because if you have 98 pitches in the 7th inning, you're done.
Right.
We're done. We're not.
Bobby
going
Miller
back
got
out
to the 7th the other day, and it was like a big deal.
Yeah, because this is what they're trained to do. They're trained to go 5 or 6 innings.
So what I'm looking forward to also today is I really want to see whatever the video they show of him is. You know what I mean? They're
highlight reel and
yes,
all that.
That's legitimately what I'm going for. Like, I will be out of that ballpark well before the game ends. Trust me on that. I'm going to see the pregame festivities because I want to see what the Dodgers do for one of their own to celebrate him on a day that he's been waiting for and deserved for decades.
He had moments too. Like, I don't want to compare player A to player B because I don't think that does either player credit. But I'm going to do what I just said I don't like to do. Like, Ohtani has been extraordinary, right? That what he's been. But if you said, tell me your favorite Shohei Ohtani moment, it happened in the World Baseball Classic.
It did.
Right? It happened for him playing for his country in a tournament that even hardcore baseball fans kind of pay attention to, kind of don't.
Hit or miss on.
Yeah, it's his angel moment is what? And I don't know. I mean, maybe you were there for this one or that one, but I don't think
it
there
just
is
might have
one.
been that complete game on the road in Detroit. Yeah.
It might have been, or it
he
might
hit
have been
2 homers later
one
that day
off the building in Baltimore,
Sure.
whatever it might be. But the point being, I don't think there is one with Fernando. There's dozens.
Yeah.
There's dozens. There's him taking the ball on opening day on basically no notice because 2 guys got hurt right before it's supposed to start. There's him locking up the World Series in 1981. There's him starting the All-Star game in 1981. There's him throwing a no-hitter in 1990, which is one of the great Vince Scully calls of all time.
Fernando ready, and the strike 2 pitch is hit back to the box, dribbling to second. Samuel on the bag, close to first, double play. Fernando Valenzuela has pitched a no-hitter at 10:17 in the evening of June the 29th, 1990. If you have a sombrero, throw it to the sky.
Just perfect.
Makes me
You know
smile
what's cool
every time
about
I
those
hear
moments? Like every time I'm watching the game with my dad or like Brenda's dad or anybody that saw him play.
Yeah.
They always tell you that when Fernando was there, when Fernando days, we always go back to a Fernando story, and that's always cool to me. Like
Absolutely.
if it's the same story over and over again, like, oh, Dad, I already heard that, or hey, Mom, you told me that. It still feels like the first time every time they talk about Fernando.
And part of what makes it so much fun to still talk about, not a lot of people saw it. A lot of people experienced it.
Yeah.
But this was the early 80s, mid-80s, when he was at the peak of his powers. There wasn't, obviously, social media. This was before ESPN had any sort of major
There weren't that many
baseball
games on
rights.
television at all.
It's one.
Right.
One a week. Like, there was your NBC Game of the Week on Saturday afternoon. And as a L.A. native and as a West Coast person, it was almost always the Dodgers or the Giants.
Right.
It was one of those 2 teams that you would get. So you'd get to see a game in Dodger Stadium occasionally. Otherwise, you had to wait for them to go on the road. They didn't televise home games back then. It was because they thought it would affect attendance
would mess
adversely.
up. Yeah. What an era.
And so you would read about Fernando. You would listen on the radio about Fernando. But unless you went to the ballpark, you didn't get to see him pitch. And it was this mystery, didn't speak the language. Like all of these things added these layers to this unbelievable story. It could never happen again because the second somebody shows up that's good like he was or great like he was, we know everything. Hey, he's from here. He does this. This is his parents. He pitched in this league. You can't be under the radar the way that he was, and you certainly can't remain mysterious for long once you pop onto the scene. And Fernando was mysterious for months, years.
It's one of those things where if now you made it up, people would think it was fiction kind of situation, and that's always an interesting thing to look back on when it comes to history. I'm pumped up. I'm just about as excited I've been to go to a Dodger game pretty much since I've moved here, and that's a good feeling. I don't know if I'm going to write about it. I mean, I might. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where if I'm moved enough to have that much of experience, I'll probably put pen to paper, but we'll see.
You were talking about your buddy that sent you the text. You mentioned it yesterday. I never really thought of it like that, but I think it's the easy answer, right? I never, because he's not the best player that's worn the uniform in the last 40 years, but he is the most famous.
He's easily the most famous. This isn't particularly...
Is he more famous than Tommy Lasorda?
I think so. I mean, Tommy Lasorda is a guy if you were a baseball fan. That's my delineation. I get maybe not. I mean, maybe Tommy Lasorda fits in your world if you were watching a lot of commercials in the 80s.
Slim Fast,
but I mean, for the most part,
what about Scully?
Yeah, but Scully didn't play. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of different. I just feel that if you think of a player who represents what the Los Angeles Dodgers are, 34 Fernando Valenzuela comes to mind. That's it,
I'm jealous. You're going to have a great time. People in the building are going to have a great time.
It's going to be awesome.
I'm
really looking forward to it.
I'm going to, obviously, I've got my Dana Hills football debut tonight. It's very, very exciting.
Let's go Dolphins.
I'm going to have all of my devices recording these various things.
Especially because I went to the Oral Hershiser one that was happening 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, me
I think.
too.
And about that too, it's like they had a big thing in the beginning, but they had something almost every inning.
Yeah.
They had
really?
someone give
Okay.
him a shout out, someone important to the Dodgers. They would shoot to him as much as they could.
Right.
It was really cool. It was like the whole game was involved.
I'm going to ask you. You're the right person to ask this to because this is a little bit baseball dorky.
Okay.
How much of the Fernando experience was because he threw a weird pitch.
I'm guessing a lot.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Because
he threw. Nobody throws a screwball,
especially coming out of the left-hand side. You know what I mean? Like that's hard to hit if you're typically a right-handed batter. It doesn't look like something you've normally seen. I imagine that added to the mystique of FernandoMania.
It's this guy that came from the place that none of us knew about, and he's throwing this pitch,
inventing
that no
pitches,
one has
so to
seen,
speak. Right.
And Scully, Fernando with the screwball. It's like awesome. Like what a great sentence to say.
I like saying screwball in general. Like calling somebody, that guy's a real screwball.
It's a very specific thing. If you say that, it's just a screwball. Like you know exactly what that guy is, right?
Who is the biggest screwball at 7'10"?
Kaplan.
Don't even have to think about it.
That was fast.
Yeah. Hey, give me.
I was trying to build some level of, you know what I mean, drama and maybe bring up some people who don't normally get mentioned. No, Cappy right off the top. Definitely a screwball.
Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong at all. That's why I'm laughing so hard. I was like, I don't even. And I wasn't even thinking.
The other thing about it, it's not negative,
no,
but it's its own special thing.
It's a specific variety of human being. Exactly.
It is a lane.
Exactly right.
I would take screwball as a compliment. Mostly.
Perhaps. It's definitely a description. I don't know if it's a compliment.
Yeah, you acknowledge it.
It's not a diss.
No,
right.
Not at all.
But it's not, I don't know if it's a compliment.
I think it is. You can't have 20 screwballs in your life. You want one.
No. You can't. I mean, you can't have
two
wild
screwballs in the same room at the same time.
No.
Right?
Not at all. Not at all. Wild card and screwball also not exactly the same thing.
No.
Wild card is like somebody who's unpredictable and you don't necessarily want them around all the time.
It's more like a square rectangle situation where a lot of times the screwballs can be wild cards, but not every
this is true.
wild card is a screwball.
Well done, Emily. I'm not following that. Pau Gasol gets inducted into the Hall of Fame this weekend as well. And where does he fall in the great list of not the best player in Laker history? That's coming up. It's Travis Slee. Yates is in for Slee on 710 ESPN. If you get hurt in an accident, call Sweet James. Easy. Much like my answer with Yates' question right there, this is easy. If you get hurt in an accident, what do? You call the accident attorneys at Sweet James. 1-800-9-MILLION. You know the number. I know the number. You've got it in your memory now. 1-800-9-MILLION. That's 1-800-900-0000 because you do not want to take on the insurance companies alone. I mentioned it yesterday. A friend of mine was involved in a little accident, and they said to me, hey, can you put me in touch with Sweet James? I said, absolutely. Put them in touch with Sweet James, and boom, he's on top of it. He's got it covered. His own time, money, energy, resources going into strengthening your case to make sure that you get what you're entitled to, which is getting your car fixed, which is getting your medical expenses covered, which means getting the maximum settlement available to you. And that's what they do at Sweet James. They've collected over $1 billion in their nearly 20-year career. Find out for yourself. If you're hurt in a trucking accident, a car accident, a motorcycle accident, any kind of accident, call the attorneys at Sweet James. 1-800-9-MILLION, 1-800-900-0000, and sweetjames.com.
With only 8 teams remaining in the inaugural League's Cup, the Black and Gold are looking unstoppable.
The Black and Gold moving on to the quarterfinals of the League's Cup.
It's a massive showdown with Mexican giant Monterrey at the iconic Rose Bowl.
Oh my goodness, Denise!
Tonight, it's win or go home as LAFC collide with Mexican side Monterrey. Coverage begins tonight at 7 p.m. on 710 ESPN.
ESPN.
Got a couple tweets to read here, Travis.
What do you got?
Siobhan, super listener, she said she was at 2 preseason games last season, 1 Chargers, 1 Rams. There were definitely fewer than 30,000 folks at them, so that'll be the case. And then Aaron Palmer says, Emily, the ice also mutes the potential blowback.
Easy, Aaron. Jeez. I met Aaron at the Mandy's. He struck me as a very dignified, refined young man, and we're going blowback tweets? Come on, dude, do better.
Wouldn't there be more blowback? There's more things to bounce off of?
There's not.
Trust me.
We don't need to get into why, but there's not. Okay? Let's just leave it at that.
Okay.
He's not wrong. It's just something we didn't need to talk about. Right?
I love him.
You guys brought up toilets.
No,
toilets.
That was very funny. He's exactly right. The blowback factor is major in those situations.
He's right, but let's move on. That's mostly your fault.
That was 100% my fault, but it made me laugh, so I brought it up.
You did not mention the thing that when you came through the door this morning that you were most excited about.
My boys, Northwest Little League, first pitch noon. For those of you who don't know, I was the only black kid on the 1993 Northwest Little League All-Star team. If you don't know how Little League works, basically here's how it is. You play on your local team, and that team is in the league. The best players in the league represent the league to play against other leagues to try to get to Williamsport. The league that I was an all-star in is playing winner go home, winner goes to Williamsport.
You didn't play shortstop
today. Shut up. I did. I played short and second. I totally didn't play the outfield. I played short and second, and winner go home, winner goes to Williamsport. The point is that the guy who's the head coach now was an assistant coach when I was on the team, Ricky Davenport. And so I'm in the tank, beyond control about this team. So if they go to Williamsport, I'll be there.
Shout out to Coach Davenport.
Yes,
good
he's
for
a good
him.
guy. So I'm pumped up about
I
it.
finally got the reaction out of you that I was hoping for. I've
What's
been
that?
sticking you with the needle about that,
bro.
But every time I've seen you
Again.
since, and I finally got a genuine shut up. Again, I'm thrilled.
Again,
if you
you
thought
were
I
the
wasn't going
most-
to keep throwing that pitch
Please
until
do.
I got it.
You were the most prescient person when you said it hit him in the glove, and that's what made me think, God damn it, he's right. I got to get this glove together because I'm the idiot that showed up with a non-glove.
To be fair, that was not my assessment. That was
That's
my buddy
fine.
Greg's assessment.
That's fine. Greg is correct. Hit me in the glove because every other play where I just grabbed it with my hand worked out. Didn't work out that time. Anyway, Northwest Little League, they have the best unis in the regional too, which is the best part about it, as you know me.
I'm thrilled with myself.
Red jersey, white pinstripes, blue script.
Not bad.
It looks great.
Yeah,
it
that
looks
sounds
great.
good.
I'll show you a picture.
Well, it's on theme.
It's a
too,
classic
DC,
look. Yes,
red,
exactly.
white,
It looks
and
like the
blue.
flag. Yeah, exactly.
I get that.
It's great.
We are just a week away from our ultimate fantasy draft party at Hollywood Park Casino, and if you have 7 friends in your league, be caller number 7 right now. Caller number 7 right now at 877-710-ESPN, and you can join us next Friday night for the fantasy party of the summer. Caller number 7 right now, Hollywood Park Casino. Eat, drink, draft. 877-710-ESPN. Yes.
HPC. I might drop in there before the game tomorrow.
It's a good spot.
Yeah.
It's a good
I
spot.
like HPC.
Yeah. Good spot to get a drink. You can watch some games. It's
Yeah.
a good spot to play a little cards if that's the
I don't
thing that you
throw the
like.
cards. I don't gamble. We talked about this before. I'm
At
not
all?
I'm not
I
a
know you're not a
gambling
big
guy.
gambler,
I
sports
don't gamble
gambler.
on sports. I certainly don't.
You don't want some dice in your life every once in a while?
I don't even
do like that.
understand how craps even work.
Oh, it's so much fun.
How does it work?
Okay.
What are the rules?
You want the 30-second explanation?
Yes. Tell me.
You roll a number.
Okay.
You throw the dice. If it hits, you're starting out.
Okay.
You have the dice.
When do I get to throw everything in the air like Sharon Stone in Casino? That's
So,
all I want to know.
You get the dice.
Okay.
You throw a number. If it's a 7 or 11, you win.
I win what?
You win whatever your bet is.
Okay. So
Even
I
money.
wager prior to my
You
roll.
put money out there on the pass or don't pass line. So when you're coming out,
I don't
that's
even know what the pass or no pass line is.
Oh, we'll get to that.
Okay.
So you're coming out. So 7-11, you get paid.
Okay.
Anything other than 7, or I shouldn't say anything other. 4 through 10. Okay. If you hit a 4 or a 10, that's your point.
Okay.
Okay, so the marker gets put on the board at one of those numbers. Now you're betting pass or don't pass on what comes next. Another, let's say your number's 5.
Okay.
Another 5 before a 7. Obviously, 7 is the dice, the roll that comes up most often.
Okay.
Right? There are more ways to make 7 than every
there
other
are.
number.
Yeah. Okay, that's where.
So you are betting and 4 has better odds than 8. because 8, there's more ways to make an 8 than there are to make a 4.
Okay.
So there are different odds for different numbers.
This is the math I did not understand prior to. Okay.
So if you roll a 5, everybody gets paid that's betting the pass line. If you roll a 7, you're out, and all the money comes off the table. We start over.
Crapping out.
That's crapping out.
Okay.
That's base, and there's 10,000
myriad permutations.
Yes, but
okay.
that's the game.
And that's why other people stand around the table and act like you're going to make them some money.
And so once you hit that point again, here we go again. Now we're going to set a new point. You're coming out a second time. And sometimes you can have those dice in your hand for 15, 20 minutes.
This sounds like it
hot
is
as hell.
no skill whatsoever.
Where to put the money is the skill.
Where to put the money is the skill,
There's
not
no
the rolling
skill
of
in
the
trying
dice.
to roll a number.
Certainly. Okay.
But there is skill on when it's a 6, an 8, and a 9. Those come up a lot.
They don't have those at HPC, though, do they? They have craps?
I don't think
I feel like craps also has an element of like, how do I say this? It is a slightly seedier game than the standard table games at casinos. Like if you got a bunch of people standing around the craps table,
the reason is
anything could happen.
Well, and it's the players' best odds are on a craps table.
Oh.
That's where you have your best chance to make money.
To beat the house.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's still, you don't have better odds than the house, but you
Right.
have better odds than a roulette wheel or
Roulette wheel
cards.
is complete madness.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
But that's it.
All right.
It's fine.
Very well. That's not that was complicated at all. Yeah.
But
pass lines, odds, no
7
thanks.
or the other one.
Sure.
That's the game.
I won't be doing
in
that
a
anytime
nutshell.
soon.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
So
right.
Fernando gets his number done tonight for Dodger Stadium, retired. Pau Gasol goes into the Hall of Fame this weekend. The Basketball Hall of Fame. It's not the NBA Hall of Fame.
No.
It's the Basketball Hall of Fame. And he's going. It's actually an incredible class. There's a ton of people that are going in.
Who else is
Bess, Gary Blair, Pau Gasol, Becky Hammond, David Hickson, Gene Cady, Dirk Nowitzki, Tony Parker, Greg Popovich, Jim Valvano, Dwayne Wade, and the 76 women's Olympic team from the U.S.
That's like 25 people.
That's a lot.
Wow.
But this is not a judgment. This is merely a statement.
No,
of fact.
I know how they operate.
There's a lot of people in the Basketball Hall of Fame.
I know how they operate, but I just meant at a time, that's a lot. Never mind who gets in.
So Pau occupies a really interesting space in Laker history because he's got his number inside Staples Center, well deserved. He's going to the Hall of Fame, well deserved. But there's Magic, Kareem, Shaq, Kobe, Jerry West. There are
names.
There are those guys, and then there are the next group of guys that, if they played for other teams, they'd be the most famous person in the history of the organization. You got your Worthies and your, Pau Gasol, Derek Fishers, like guys like this that hold a very specific place in Laker fans' history. Gasol, I'm not so sure, isn't the best of that next group.
I think he is. I would include. I mean, I think
it's a 3-horse race.
How do I say this? I don't know that he's the best of, but this is tough to say because Worthy was such an important player. And Worthy is such an iconic guy. But like, I just feel. I don't want to say that I feel like James Worthy was replaceable. That's not what I'm getting at all. I just felt that Pau's relationship to Kobe was so specifically important to how that team operated that I feel like it was different. Like you couldn't have. There was no other person it was going to be. You know what I mean? That had that relationship with that guy, even if they were as good of a player. It was the human that mattered as much as anything.
Other.
Yes.
That never mind that Gasol could finish. Never mind that he could shoot. He could pass. He could defend the rim. He was a great player, but what he understood about Kobe and what Kobe understood about him was an ultimate relationship. Like they just fit together so well that look. After Shaq had left and Kobe was in search of his next guy, let's say it wasn't Gasol, they would have found somebody. And Kobe was such a talented guy that I believe Kobe finds a way to get stuff done regardless. But Gasol was the perfect guy at the perfect time.
Gasol also was a guy who very ostensibly came from the EuroLeague and had a non-step down in terms of what the skill level was. I mean, there was a time when you got like guys were, you talk about mysteries in terms of Fernando Ronaldo. Oh, he came from the EuroLeague. You don't know what you're going to get. And it was like, oh, no, you know what you're getting from Pau. Yeah. This guy's going to hit you in the mouth. He's going to hit a bunch of shots, and he's going to be a tough guy, and he's got to finesse around the rim when you need it. Like, he legitimized a certain path for a certain type of a player, including his brother, for that matter, who really – now are everyday guys in the league. That wasn't necessarily the case.
There was still
then.
the stigma of the Euro player.
Exactly.
There was they're soft. They don't want to play inside. They don't want to. They want to dribble and shoot.
They don't understand the game in the modern NBA. Is basically what it was. It was kind of considered either you were too soft or you just were a brute. And like he was none of that. He brought all of the elements of the game.
Awesome.
And I think that's kind of why Kobe liked him too. Kobe obviously a kid who grew up in Europe for a large part of his life. Mm-hmm. They had a cultural link as well that I think really helped them on the court. And that's where Pau. When you think about where has the game grown, and by the game I mean the NBA game and basketball, Pau Gasol is a perfect example of what did not exist in 1992 that did exist in, let's just say, 2002. It's amazing to see how a guy like that has become such an important part of the American basketball scene, because that just wasn't a thing before. Not to say he was the first one, but he was sort of the embodiment of all of the guys who sort of came before.
You know what else he could do that not everybody can? There's a handful of guys that could, but it's not something that, that's not a big deal. We could find guys that could. He could stand up to Kobe. And Kobe's the intensity and the fury, whatever you want to classify it as, whatever that Mamba mentality is, both positively and negatively, Pau knew how to deal with it.
Right.
Pau knew how to take the parts that he needed and let the parts that he didn't need go and not consume him in the way that it did other guys. Kobe, like Jordan, like some others, not super easy guys to be teammates with.
Not remotely super easy to be teammates with.
There are a very specific group of guys that can do that, and Pau could do it over and over and over again.
People like to call him Robin to Batman. I'm not sure that's necessarily the best relationship, because I feel like Robin was sort of a secondary character to Batman, even though Pau was not a secondary. He was a bigger guy than Kobe, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I really respect his career as a person, again, who came over. He was the first Spanish player to ever make an NBA All-Star game and the first Grizzly to ever make an NBA All-Star game, which is an interesting little one, too.
And his and Dirk and those guys, their legacy will be not just great players, but opening the door to that style of basketball.
Totally agree.
And by the way, now that is NBA basketball. That's how everybody plays.
Saying. It's wild to think about. Like, Pau Gasol probably a lot more influential in American basketball history than people will remember who didn't watch him play at the time.
So
if the NBA and the European leagues were on opposite ends of the spectrum, right? They didn't meet at the NBA end.
No.
It meant more towards the NBA end. Like if it's a 1 to 10, they met at like 6.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
On the NBA side, but those guys accelerated that for sure.
There's also something interesting that was said about another member of the that is going to be enshrined at the Hall of Fame this weekend. It's about Dwayne Wade in regards to LeBron James. We should talk about that at 11, because I think it's really interesting how someone might take that.
We got DC questions, we got food questions, we got baseball questions. It's Ask Yates coming up next. It's Travis Lee, 710 ESPN.
With only 8 teams remaining in the inaugural League's Cup, the Black and Gold are looking unstoppable.
The Black and Gold moving on to the quarterfinals of the League's Cup.
It's a massive showdown with Mexican giant Monterrey at the iconic Rose Bowl.
Oh my goodness, Denny!
Tonight, it's win or go home as LAFC collide with Mexican side Monterrey. Coverage begins tonight at 7 p.m. on 710 ESPN and the ESPN LA app.
like we do every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 10:45. Ask Slee, and Ask Slee is presented by our friends at Harrah's Resort SoCal. Find your funner state of mind with a visit to Harrah's Resort SoCal, voted best resort in funner California. From dining to unwinding, you'll find fun around every corner. Learn more at harrahssocal.com. Let's get to it. Ask Slee right now.
Just realized that with Monday, you being here as well,
Correct.
you will have done 4 Ask Big CYs in 5 days.
That's a complete set.
That is a good run, right
as
there.
we like to say right there.
That is a good deal. All right,
that's a good run.
We're going to start right here. Animal fries, well done. What type of offense gets a person booted from your cell phone's Rolodex, and what precipitated the last said incident?
Oh,
do you delete people from your phone?
This is an easy one.
Okay.
And this is something I probably shouldn't be talking about this. I won't mention this person's name, but you know what will get you instantly booted is taking things you saw on my social media and taking them to group chats in my text as opposed to just talking about them on the site that I mentioned it from.
What's the difference?
Because it's like, yo, I'm talking about something on the bird because that's where I want to talk about it. I am not inviting you. The difference is this, that I am not inviting you to then discuss topics in a smaller, more private setting.
But what if he doesn't want to talk about it with everyone? He wants to talk about it with you.
Because then that's what it's on the bird for. You know what I'm saying?
No, but not for that other person, it's not.
Again, this is a thing for me. You asked, this is the answer. And I had to legitimately delete somebody from my friend group because he kept trying to have arguments with me about things in public in front of other people in private. And I was like, dog, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? You can have that discussion right over there. That's what it's there for. But instead, you're trying to prove something inside where we don't even talk. Like, I don't talk about what I talk about on social media with my actual friends. You know what I'm saying? Unless we're talking about it on social media. I hate that. Don't do that.
I'm not even sure I understand what happened.
I don't get it either.
Okay, let me explain it this way. Let's say the three of us are on a group chat. You, me, and I've tweeted something about God knows what. As opposed to you replying to, let's just say, by in and out order, you come back to the group text arguing with me about something that was on Twitter, and I'm like, dude, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's not, it's like arguing about things that happened at school, but you're at home with your other friends. It's whack.
But what if we come at you on Twitter?
That's a different discussion because that's where it started.
Thing.
No, it's not. This is the difference that I'm discussing.
It's a public arena versus a private arena.
Thank you,
okay.
Emily. It's not the same.
Oh.
I would understand it the other way.
Nah, it's just
like taking something private public.
Yes, exactly.
I would get that, but taking something public private.
It's like you. If it was so important that I wanted to talk about it privately, I would have brought it up privately. If I'm just tweeting about it, that means it's supposed to stay there.
Sure.
Where's my pencil?
Orale.
You asked. It's a question. That's the answer.
I'm just
the complete set of the Ask CY. This is what you get at the end of the run.
What would happen if you, again, say you're out at dinner with Travis and Jorge?
Never gonna happen.
I'm not invited in this situation.
Yeah, we don't
and
use
this is a Morales and Greg scenario.
And I text you like, "Hey, what's up, dude? Why wasn't I invited to the dinner?"
Take it to Twitter.
Is that a way? Yeah, if I took it to Twitter, though.
You guys are not understanding what I mean. What I mean is that there was a person in my life that was routinely acting as if my Twitter feed was their conversational piece in front of other people privately, and that annoyed me. That's what I'm saying.
805 Raider says, Yates, being a D.C. guy, what was your favorite monument to go to when you lived there?
If you're from D.C., you don't go to monuments unless other tourists come.
Yeah.
So
it's like going to the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Yeah,
here.
it's like there's not really many on that list. The monuments, I mean, they're cool to look at, but I've only been to a great example. I've only been to the Washington Monument one time in my life.
That's one less time than I have.
Right. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, so just to give you an idea.
That's one less than me. Chris.
They are pretty, though. You know, as far as monuments and parks go, DC's
cool.
got
It's
pretty
a great
parks.
day, quite frankly, to walk the mall and get to see all that stuff.
Played a lot of softball on the mall.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I've had a
cool
picnic or
thing.
two.
It's one of those things. If you, to your point, if you don't live there, I got to go see that stuff.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
I got to check the box.
The cool thing they used to do was they would show movies down there. Like,
oh yeah,
yeah. They'd put up, screen on the green is what it was called.
I like that.
Yeah,
I could do that. Chris Holmes, what's the worst thing that's become popular in the last 5 years?
The worst thing that's become popular in the last 5 years.
I've got one.
What do you think? I'm trying to think.
People that do FaceTime calls in public.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That bothers you?
A great deal.
What?
Because
what if their AirPods are in?
No, because I can still hear if you're in the grocery store walking down the bread aisle.
You don't like this, okay?
And you're holding your phone out here like this.
We talked about this in Sedano
I'm okay with
and
you being
Cat.
on the phone.
Yeah.
That's fine. Like just hey, but you're having a conversation about what you're doing later that day with your friends. It's like, dude, just wait till you're back in your car or home.
You and Beto are on the same
take.
same plane on this. I would say the last 5 years, and I thought about this because we're watching Little League Baseball. When the world was taken over by the "Let's go," that's all any kid ever says anytime any play happens at all.
I do
all
like
the
that.
time. It's all that happens. I'm like, can we find another term, please? Can we mix up the excited yells? All that "Let's go." That's all you hear every game, no matter what.
I like that one.
It's funny, but it's like it's all there is. I need more.
What? Give me an example. What would you
I don't
like me to
know.
say?
But have you ever heard me say "Let's go"? No. You know what I'm saying? I feel like once that
Privately or on Twitter?
I feel like once that hit, it became the only thing that anybody says anymore.
Dude, shut up.
We're going to make a
promo
promo out of this.
Let's go. Exactly. Let's go.
53 minutes into the show, and I've gotten.
We need to add it to the
This is, by
open
the
of
way,
Travis and Sliwa.
That's a good idea.
It's not a bad idea. I feel like this is just the residue of you and I doing 4 shows together.
Again, it's you spend the night one night, you go to the movies the next day, you maybe go to the game the next night. If you spend that second night together with your buddy, by Sunday time comes around, you're like, get the hell out of my house. That's how that works.
This is from Porky. Which of the two smells better? Fresh cut grass or fresh baking bread?
Probably bread. When I was a kid, my grandparents lived like down the railroad tracks from what was an old Wonder Bread bakery.
Okay.
And if you walked across this bridge on the way to the convenience store, you could smell the bread, and that was
a good
a
one.
big draw. Yeah, fresh cut grass, that's cool, but
Fresh cut grass for me is number 2 on the list.
really,
It's
fresh cut grass isn't that high on the list to me in
it's
general.
it is that. Instantly takes me back to being a kid.
Yeah.
It reminds me of my dad because I remember him mowing the lawn
Sure.
on Saturday morning.
Olfactory memories are no joke.
And it reminds me of playing baseball.
I have there's that too. I was just about to say I have a candle that I bought in Dyersville, Iowa, of fresh cut grass.
Yeah, I would
That's
be
the
all
scent.
the number 1
Yeah.
is the smell of a baseball glove.
That's top one. Dyersville, Iowa, of course, where the Field of Dreams is.
Yeah, I also like what reminds me of fresh cut grass is going to play soccer early in the morning for a soccer tournament, and the freshly cut grass with the dew on it, and then it gets sticky all over my shoes, all over my cleats and my shin guards. That reminds me of like very early soccer tournaments.
There's smell. Like I said, olfactory memories are no joke, and there's a smell. Like every once in a while, well, rather every year or so, I'll try to go back to DC and go to my neighborhood like right before school starts because there's a certain way that like the neighborhood
There's fall
smells that
or it
reminds
smells.
me of like when you go back to school and it was exciting. Yeah.
All right, next one.
Let's go! That's really good.
CY is in a lifeboat with room for 2 more. In the water, Trav, Taylor Swift, Emily, Gary Sheffield for a reason.
Gary Sheffield is one of my favorite ball players.
Okay.
That's probably why that person said
Shohei. Who do you say?
This is a lot of people in the lifeboat.
Taylor.
Okay.
Or, I'm sorry. It's me, Taylor Swift, M, Gary Sheffield, and Shohei.
Only space for 2.
I'm saving M. M is the best swimmer there, so she can help me get out of there. That's a non-question.
Well, wouldn't that be more reason to leave her in the
Yeah,
water?
then I can swim alongside.
because if I need somebody who if somebody knows what they're doing, I'm going
She's
with
not
that
a boat
person.
captain. She just knows how to swim.
Again, I'm
lot of
trusting.
boats in my life.
I'm trusting the person who knows who's the best swimmer in situations involving water.
To be in the boat? Okay,
First of all,
you got one more spot.
I have one more spot.
Shohei, Sheffield.
Probably
or
Shohei. He's
Taylor
more
Swift
important
or
to the
me?
world than all those other people in my eyes.
Me and Taylor Swift.
Y'all
nice
are gone.
knowing
Y'all are
that's
gone.
okay.
Nice knowing you.
What are these lifeboat analogies? Like I don't even get this. Like what are we doing with lifeboats? I'm not riding on the Titanic. That's not going to happen.
Well, you never
know what I'm
know.
saying?
See, never
I'm not
say
getting
never.
on cruise ships. That's not a thing I do in my life. I stay on dry ground if possible, or
You
unless I'm in
wouldn't
the
go
air.
on a booze cruise?
Booze cruise, maybe. Like if I've been on those where like the boat goes out and the boat comes back, but the whole idea of like we're disembarking with 900 people on this big ship, no chance. I'm not doing that.
Yeah,
you have to pay me to do
I've
that.
only been on one cruise in my life, and it was a 2-dayer, and I don't ever need to do it again.
Exactly.
It's not my thing at all, but a day on a boat. Is
I
a
would
pretty good
do.
day.
I would do the Disney cruise though, because the Disney cruises are apparently like much cooler and they're really fun. I would do that.
I think it's for families mostly, but sure.
Sure,
Yeah,
yeah.
that
Yeah.
would
A bunch
be
of kids,
fun.
yeah.
Why not?
Great time.
One more. thoughts on people that clap when the plane lands successfully?
Okay. Let's go! So this is a two-pronged one. Now, typically, this was a thing that was reserved because I've flown a lot of planes in my life. My parents lived overseas, so I flew a lot of planes as a child as well by myself. So this is something I knew a lot of. This is something that typically does not bother me if you are landing on an international flight back in the U.S. That's when you clap. That's when I was taught that.
Is that like a welcome home clap?
There's an element of that. Yeah. If you're going from, Scranton to Phoenix.
To LA?
No. Keep your hands in your pockets or on your iPads. You don't need to clap for that. But if you're coming home from overseas, then it is appropriate to clap.
The only time I've ever felt like doing that was I was a kid and we had a very rough flight where we kept we were flying from LA to Phoenix, as a matter of fact.
Right.
And we kept trying to land, and it was one of those monsoons. They couldn't get the plane down. The plane kept getting, so they kept come down, they come back up, come down, come back up, and they couldn't. So finally, they fly us out to, I think it's March Air Force Base that's out in the desert in Arizona out there. We land, we sit on the airplane forever, right? Finally, the storm blows through. They get the plane back up in the air. They land in Phoenix.
Then you clap.
Then everybody's clap.
Yeah,
like
that's
we
fair.
Survived.
Right.
It was a survival clap.
That makes sense. But yes,
the way.
domestic flights, no clap. International flights, clap away.
Ask Slee is brought to you by Harrah's. Find your funner state of mind with a visit to Harrah's Resort SoCal. Voted best resort in funner California, from dining to unwinding. You'll find fun around every corner. Learn more at harrahssocal.com. Emily mentioned it a second ago. Pat Riley had something to say about one of the Hall of Fame inductees, and he insists it was not a slight of LeBron. That's next. It's coming up. It's Trav and Slee. Yates in for Slee on 710.
With only 8 teams remaining in the inaugural League's Cup, the black and gold are looking unstoppable.
The black and gold moving on to the quarterfinals of the League's Cup.
It's a massive showdown with Mexican giant Monterrey at the iconic Rose Bowl.
Oh my goodness, Denny!
Tonight, it's win or go home as LAFC collide with Mexican side Monterrey. Coverage begins tonight at 7 p.m. on 710 ESPN and the ESPN LA app.
Clarification on Yates's defriending policy.
I broke it down because here's what was happening. Let's just say, for example, I tweeted a long thing about like the expansion of college football. and it was like 7 or 8 things. Now, imagine if, somebody had done this and there's another crowd. Like, using what I'm talking about in public and just piggybacking on that in front of other people in private is just very annoying. It's like, if you want to say something, you can say it there. Bringing it to other people as if what my intellectual capital is something for you to spend my time wasting on in private. No, I just don't do it.
I think the big difference is you're taking it from Twitter and you're putting it in a group chat with other people.
Yeah.
As opposed to, say, if I had an issue with whatever you posted on Twitter, I would reach out directly to you privately. Me and you have a conversation.
Ding, ding,
as
ding.
opposed to Clinton says something and I say, hey, I don't agree with that. And then I add you two into it. And then you're like, and then it causes other group chat, separate things. I've had this issue with like roommates in the past where, people will want to air issues that they have with the entire house into the group chat as opposed to just addressing one-on-one with someone else. And I think that's where the issue comes from.
Correct. She's right. Can't do it. Doesn't work.
Jorge, has this helped you at all?
Nah.
Don't lie. You said you understood when I brought it up in the break.
No,
anyway.
I understood what I was cutting. That was
Oh, sure.
Dare you bring something from our show and discuss it privately during the break?
How dare you? How dare you?
There's a reason we have this show, that this is the
We can
forum
air it
to
out.
discuss
This is
these
true.
things, and
This
then
is
you
true.
go
This
and
is what the
discuss
show
them
is for.
privately.
This is the show
How
is for.
dare you not?
You're not understanding the dynamic. You're too old.
Let me
too old.
Let me
Okay,
delete
boomer.
you from my phone.
Okay, boomer.
See, now you're getting defensive.
No, I am getting defensive. But what I'm saying is that what I'm saying is that group chat dynamics are like a real thing
Isn't
for me.
what you just did exactly
in my
what
life.
you were just complaining about?
No, it's not, because this is what we're paid to do. It's not what we're otherwise doing on our own free will. That's
What?
the difference. Yeah.
This is we're getting even
Wait,
further.
you guys get paid for this?
Exactly. No. But anyway, my point is
Waba Grill and
group
sandwiches.
Chat, group chat dynamics are a great way to get defriended in my world. That's what the point is.
Travis Lee Show is teamed up with Waba Grill to give away lunch for your office. Listen today during the Waba Grill lunch hour on 710 for the cue to call, and you could be the Waba Grill Workplace of the Week. That's today on 710 ESPN. Thanks to Waba Grill. Waba Grill, eat smart, be healthy. I played a little golf yesterday with some buddies, and both independent. Like, I was with one person for a point of the round, and I was in the cart with another person at a different point of the round. Both of them were giving me their Waba Grill Boom Boom Taco reviews.
Is that right?
Yes.
What did they think?
They had differing opinions on the chicken and the beef.
Did we have a dumpling review?
They did not have the dumplings. They only had.
Didn't you go to Waba?
You guys went to Panini Kebab Grill.
Yeah, it was really yummy.
It?
It was really good. The chicken was really both
nice.
It was really well done. Moist. Basmati rice was great. Tzatziki was awesome. I have no notes.
Okay, very well.
It was large portions though, so I did not finish it, but they pack it in there.
You brought up the dumplings that they have at Waba Grill that Chris had the other day.
Correct.
I am genuinely excited about the next opportunity to have road dumplings. Okay. Like I've eaten dumplings occasionally because they're good.
They're delicious.
Yeah, they're really, really good. But I never even considered them as a potential road item.
Right.
And now I just can't wait.
Gotta happen. They're good. Like I said, they're a good ballpark item too. I've had them at plenty of ballparks.
I'm such a traditionalist when it comes to that stuff. I just want a dog and a peanuts and a Coke or a beer or something like that. The other stuff, I'm sure it's great. It's just not.
It's great. Just easy to eat.
Not in my repertoire. Maybe a
Poppers.
nacho here and there, and of course something sweet like the fifth inning.
Yeah,
little. They used to. So going back to the Fernando thing,
dropping $100 there.
So,
I was gonna say,
what's that?
It's just dropping $100 every time you go to the ballpark to eat food.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's expensive.
A beer alone is like $20.
I was gonna say the beer is $20. There you go.
Hot dog's like $6.50.
Not gonna have one.
Yeah,
You're gonna have
exactly.
two. It's in. I got a family. It's gonna happen. They might still have them. I haven't seen them in a long time. I didn't see them the last few times I've been, at least. They used to have the Carnation frozen malts that were so frozen that even in the middle of the summer, if you ordered it in the third inning, maybe by the eighth inning
it was melted.
Wow! You could not just eat it; you could. They gave you this little teeny tiny wooden spoon
that would crack off.
You could. It was like trying to drive a nail with silly putty. You couldn't do it. It was impossible to do. I miss those things. That and the Kula-Koo.
Okay,
you know
I'm
the
not familiar
Kula-Koo?
with that.
Oh. Ice cream cookie sandwich dipped in chocolate.
That's a lot.
It is
that's
a lot.
An extensive maneuver,
and it's also really
one
really
thing.
Good.
We got this from Tim Bontemps. So they're doing
Good times.
the pressers for the Hall of Fame induction, and so we have Tony Parker. You know who's in the attendance of the press conference for Tony Parker? Thierry Henry.
Ah bon?
Oh,
Monsieur
Yeah.
Henry.
He was dancing.
That's
On
cool.
Twitter. He threw
Yeah.
a party. He's dancing it up in the party. Yeah.
Yeah, Parker is the first ever French inductee into the Hall of Fame.
Nice.
For basketball.
Tim Bontemps, good friend of mine.
I'm trying to think if
Thierry
there
Henry?
are. Well, who the next one would be? Wemby, maybe? Is there another great French player that I'm blanking out on?
I mean, Rudy Gobert ain't making the Hall of Fame.
No, he's
I mean, maybe the basketball Hall of Fame.
Boris Diaw, I don't think is making
Boris
the Hall of
Diaw
Fame.
probably not.
Yeah.
Who else? Man.
There's not a ton of French guys, but Wemby, how do you think that's going to go? I am hopeful, but I'm also
Kevin Serafin. I forgot about that dude.
The Wemby thing, that body type scares me to death.
Oh, completely.
I'm not super skinny like that is really.
I don't have a problem with the kid. I don't have a problem with anything, but I am a non-fan of that body type.
Yeah.
Same goes for the kid who got drafted by Oklahoma City.
Chet Holmgren.
I got to see it to believe
Chet.
it. Have to see it to believe it.
Super tall, super thin.
Saw it for Kevin Durant, though.
Okay, but that's one dude, and that brother's from
exactly.
BC, so I trust
One guy.
him. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a different matter.
It's from PG, right?
You know,
But
yes.
You know what
exactly.
the problem is, and you're not wrong, Emily, but what you just did is the same. Well, Drew Brees. If there's only one example, we got a problem.
Right, and that's the thing.
Yeah, that short quarterbacks don't work. Well, work for Drew Brees. Okay, give me. There are how many quarterbacks have been in the history of the NFL? 4,000. If you got one guy that was short that worked, we got a problem because the other 3,900 of them were all 6'5".
Frank Nicolita, you think he's going to the?
I think it's low.
Michael Petras, I forgot about him.
I forget. Mike, he was a Clipper.
Pretty good player.
Briefly.
He played for the Suns too.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, so Pat Riley, speaking of the Hall of Fame inductions, had this to say about Dwayne Wade, who's one of the inductees. Dwayne is the greatest player that ever played for the Heat, and he very quickly added, that's not an insult to LeBron. So I want to use specifically what Pat Riley said, okay? Dwayne is the greatest player that ever played for the Heat. Greatest player is the phrase that he used. Not best career, not most iconic member, not the number one. Greatest player. Now, I don't want to throw any cold water on Dwayne Wade's career. He was amazing. Maybe one of the great smaller players in NBA history. He's
really? You got that much of a qualifier on Dwayne Wade?
I think so.
Yeah, okay.
I think he's terrific.
Right.
But no one's arguing that Dwayne Wade was one of the greatest of all time. And the argument that LeBron James may or may not be the greatest player of all time, but no one's arguing that he's not in the mix. Is it not an insult?
I mean,
to LeBron James?
No. Well, first of all, I don't think all statements that qualify one person as better than the other is an automatic insult to the person who's not considered the best. So I do understand that part of what he's saying, but I also think that what Riles is getting at is something. I don't want to say bigger than basketball.
That's why I'm only going by what he said.
But there's an element of. There is, how do I explain this? There is no Miami Heat without Dwayne Wade kind of thing. You know what I mean? I think that's closer to what he's getting at. He's the greatest version of what he thought.
The most important player in Heat franchise.
Perhaps that, and that's even tough to say because, Alonzo Mourning played there as well. And that's, he's obviously a Hall of Famer as well. Coming from Pat Riley, I understand that sentiment and that statement because all of the things that we just talked about that were included are kind of built into who Riley is, who Riley has seen, and who Riley has stewarded through there.
I get it. And it's not a criticism of Pat Riley's basketball acumen. All I'm asking is that he in the sentence, he made it a point to say, I'm not trying to insult LeBron James, which I think means he knew that would be taken as an insult to LeBron James.
I think Riley knows in today's era of social media hot takes that people are going to look at that and start breaking it. Legacy Twitter is going to start going crazy over rankings and all this other stuff.
Yeah, and I hate that.
I can't deal with that.
Yeah.
Other things that will quickly get you defriended from me is drawing me into a bunch of legacy Twitter conversations. I think Pat Riley knows that, and so he's just kind of couching that, but at the same time, again, people forget Pat Riley's basketball career is not just Lakers, that guy was on the starting five of the
Kentucky.
all-white team that lost to Texas Western.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, this goes way back. This dude has seen a ton of stuff. So I take him at his word, and I think his depth and knowledge of basketball is always sort of inherent to anything he says.
Yeah, so for me too, it's interesting too to look at this. It's like when you think of LeBron, will he be the greatest player on any team that he's played for besides the Cavaliers? Will he be the greatest?
Well,
player
he'll never
the Heat?
be the greatest Laker player
Obviously
of all
not.
time.
No.
Yes, no, not. But
Pat Riley says he's not the greatest Heat player of all time, and to Clinton's point, Pat Riley's resume at evaluating things like this is sound.
It's extremely solid.
Yeah,
right.
This is not a fan from the upper deck.
Right.
This is Pat Riley.
I think LeBron James, again,
MJ, is he the greatest wizard of all time? It's like
no,
he's only the
right.
greatest of the Bulls.
That's a good question. But I do
Wes
think
Unseld.
LeBron James, Wes, great player. His son is a not great coach. LeBron is the.
You felt that necessary.
I don't know. That was a cheap shot. LeBron is the first
so
guy that you saw. We talked about this a little bit before the show. People are fans of the player as much as they are.
He started that, I think.
The team that they're on. Well, he perfected it mainly. You had a lot of guys. I don't care. I'm a Bron fan.
Yeah.
I'm going where Bron goes as far as who they root for, and I don't have a problem with that. I actually think it's kind of cool.
I am a Laker fan, and when LeBron was in Cleveland, I watched LeBron as often as I could. When
Bron's
he was
awesome.
in Miami. And I wanted to see him do well.
Right.
Like I root for LeBron James.
It's a thing, and I think that's where I think that bleeds into part of what Pat Riley is talking about as well. Because when you think about a franchise, you don't think about, like Emily said, you don't get past Cleveland if you're really thinking about LeBron.
No, but
the Heat,
I think
Dwayne Wade is that guy.
It's not a wrong answer, but it's not an indisputable right answer either.
Okay.
I think there's an answer for LeBron because the best version of LeBron was when he was in Miami.
Definitely.
That was when he was at the peak of his powers.
Sure. But his greatest accomplishment potentially was what he did with the Cavaliers, beating that Warriors team.
In that season,
Blocked
that
by
playoff
James!
series, unreal, and leading the series in literally everything.
Yeah.
It is an extraordinary moment in his career and season and series and all those things. But those 4 years when he was in Miami, I mean, forget about it.
Yeah, no, they were
Forget
strong.
about it.
That was like he said, it was his college experience. I'm like, wow, what a way to put that.
What I mean? and he was, without a doubt, the best player on that team. And that's not diminishing Dwayne Wade. It's just that it's LeBron James at the peak of his powers. The only other people in that conversation are Kareem, Magic, Wilt. Like, it's a very small group.
Can I say, though, the transformation of Pat
Jordan,
Riley on Winning Time is just such a satisfying thing. Remember last season when he was like, they had that scene of him ripping down his like side house or whatever, and he completely freaked out on his wife and went crazy, and then he's crying in the shower, and then he like emerges like a supervillain with the hair slicked back. Like, they have not revisited that enough, by the way.
Yeah.
That scene was nuts. Like, it was
That
like
was a
something
great
out of a
scene.
superhero movie. It really actually gave me chills.
That's why
Also,
I
his monologue at the beginning of this season.
That's what I was going to say, Em. The opening scene of the first episode was like, all right, here we go.
Right. That
Like,
kickstarted me into...
Here we go, because this is the Pat Riley that, as someone my age and a Laker fan, when I think of Pat Riley, I don't think of the Knicks, I don't think of the Heat. I think of slick back Armani suit Pat Riley.
I need so much more of that in Winning Time.
And so that's where it started. And then the next thing you know, I got Jason Segel doing a Westhead impression. It's like, okay, and I don't dislike it, but it's like,
have you ever heard of Otello?
I'm going to need the other guy.
I mean, they have this thing. It's called Moose.
Jeez. And him reciting poetry. It's like, come on, man.
That's what he did, though.
I know.
A little bit of a screwball, if I may.
Oh, Westhead?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Is Riley a wild card?
Riley is not a wild card. No, he's
a
not,
hard ass.
Yes. At this stage, he's not a wild card.
Yeah. He was never a wild card.
No, I mean, like, in terms of, like, versus all those other people, too. No. Screwball, Westhead.
All right, the NFL preseason is underway. The Rams get their preseason started tomorrow against the Chargers, 6 o'clock. Pregame show with me and Kirk starting at 4 o'clock. And we're going to get to see Stetson Bennett. What are we hoping to see with the guy that may or may not be the heir apparent? That's coming up. Strav and Slee, 710 ESPN. AutoZone has the free services you need to help you get back on the road, like their free AutoZone Fix Finder service. The AutoZone Fix Finder service not only identifies the check engine light code, but it also helps identify the most likely cause of the check engine light being on. The information provided by the free AutoZone Fix Finder service is verified by data from over 5.5 million ASE certified technicians, and with over 5,600 locations nationwide, AutoZone is here to help you save time and money with their free services. Getting the job done just got easier. Restrictions apply. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
With only 8 teams remaining in the inaugural League's Cup, the Black and Gold are looking unstoppable.
The Black and Gold moving on to the quarterfinals of the League's Cup.
It's a massive showdown with Mexican giant Monterrey at the iconic Rose Bowl.
Oh my goodness, Denny!
Tomorrow night, it's win or go home as LAFC collide with Mexican side Monterrey. Coverage begins tomorrow night at 7 p.m. on 710 ESPN and the ESPN LA app.
Little bonus late, ask CY, because you strike me as a man who understands etiquette and somebody
Sure.
who has rules.
Sure.
You know,
I don't have a lot of rules, but I do understand.
No, but
etiquette.
you do. Like your rule about what you
It's
will
not
wear.
a rule.
No, you said it yesterday.
It's not a rule.
Let
It's
me
just something I
finish.
do or
Shut
don't
up.
do.
Like
Okay,
you said.
go on. Sorry.
You do have rules,
I
and I
don't
like
love
it.
rules. Yes.
That you're like, I would wear what I want and all these things. I like it. I like that you have opinions
Okay.
on these things. What's a worse move when you're at a sporting event? Wearing a jersey of the sport you're watching, but of a team that's not playing, or wearing a jersey from a different sport than you're attending? Like a hockey jersey to a Dodger game.
That's a really good question.
Or
Or
a
like a
Dodger Giant game where you're wearing a Pittsburgh Pirates jersey.
I'm going to say the former. What was the first one again?
Like you're wearing a hockey jersey to a baseball game.
I don't mind that because there are some places, one of which is the place where I'm from, where that can track across colors. And Pittsburgh is another place where that's a thing. So I'll give you that. And actually, that's the thing that also happens at schools a lot, which is fun. In Omaha, people will show up wearing football jerseys of the teams that are playing baseball there just because it's the only thing from their school that they have. And I don't mind that. I actually, that tracks for me. I'm willing to let that slide.
What about wearing like a a Packers jersey to a Rams game.
That's a weird move to me. I don't get that. You just got to let everybody know that you're not that you're not a Rams fan. Like, that to me screams of insecurity.
You have to wear your football costume every time that you go to a football game.
That screams of insecurity to me. You know, people who are like, no, they need to know. You know, it's just like, all right, enough. You know, it's like you go to a playoff game and some guy's wearing a Mets jersey.
A T-shirt.
Yeah,
you know,
and I'm not even a big jersey guy. I don't wear a ton of jerseys. You know what I mean? Not anymore. And so, to me,
did you have a jersey face?
Jerseys to me are more like a summer thing, like basketball jerseys, because it's hot outside. I want to wear a tank top kind of situation.
Throwback or modern players?
I got 2 Iverson jerseys. I've got a John Wall jersey, and I've got a Wes Unseld jersey.
See, but I don't know if you know this or not, but his kid's not.
He's not very good coach. Turns out, alas, somebody's gonna call Wes and be like, "Yo, your boy Yates is out here taking shots at you on the West Coast for no reason."
I like it.
Right,
I like it.
So I can't believe we were potentially robbed of one of the best stories of all time in sports. Potentially. All right. So this came out that Shanahan actually addressed this, that Phil Rivers was potentially the 49ers contingency plan at the end of the season. So you know how in the NFC Championship game, everybody went down.
Yeah.
They had essentially no options at quarterback, and that if they got to the Super Bowl, who knows what would have happened, but they would either have Jimmy G if he was back in that time, or Philip Rivers. That would be an insane story to think about, especially Phil Rivers, because he was on that Chargers team that always was so close but sucked it up. You know, it would be so cool to see that.
I got to say, Travis, the biggest news out of all this to me was I did not realize that per the collective bargaining agreement you could just sign dudes off the street before the Super Bowl. Like, knowing that that's an option opens up a whole new world of possibilities of people that you just think, heck, for one game, I'll take that guy.
The Rams did it the year they won the Super Bowl. They pulled Eric Weddle out of the carpool.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
The Rams pulled Eric Weddle had not played, I want to say, in a couple years.
That's
at
true.
least a full, and they had a need in the secondary.
Yeah,
they called him.
I
and
forgot about that.
They knew he had kept himself in pretty good shape, and they said, "Hey, you got a month of football in you?" And he's like, "Yeah, I think I do."
Can you imagine if Philip Rivers,
quarterback?
Yeah, the quarterback. That's movie star stuff. Like that you couldn't have made that up if you wanted to in a Disney movie. That would have been amazing.
It would have been amazing,
and
for
all
sure.
13, 14 of his kids too. No, yeah.
Well, so here's the okay. So the way that Jimmy G hurt, Trey Lance hurt, Brock Purdy hurt, Johnson hurt, right? Is it Josh Johnson?
Josh Johnson.
Josh
yeah,
Johnson was the one
so.
that they brought in after Purdy went down, and so basically they were running the Wildcat after that with McCaffrey,
and that was bad.
It was terrible. They had no chance. But let's just say that happened with 2 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, and they had their lead, and they held on with the defense. And now you got to figure it out for the Super Bowl.
Man.
So there is a scenario where this happens, and it would work. I'm not saying they would win the game. Philip Rivers has played so much football and has such a high football IQ that if you keep in mind, Super Bowl, you got 2 weeks to get ready.
Yeah.
That you come in here and say, look, we're going to give you, and he speaks, for lack of a better metaphor, he speaks the language of quarterback.
Of course.
So he comes in and it's like, what are we doing here? What is this? I just need to know a few formations, a few play calls, and can I get it done? I think, would he beat Patrick Mahomes? I have no idea. But would he embarrass himself? No.
Probably and with that talent on that 49ers team, you have Deebo Samuel, you have Christian McCaffrey, you have Kittle. You have all these weapons at your disposal that you can get to. And, who would write them off?
I would have loved to see that.
It would be an amazing story.
I would have absolutely loved to see that.
But it's a very specific set of circumstances. And not just
it's the most specific set.
But to be able to do, like you could, I don't think you could do it at left tackle, for instance.
No, I see what you're saying. Positionally, the tight end is not coming into...
It's too physical.
Yeah.
Playing quarterback in the NFL obviously is physical, but it's more mental than it is anything else.
Could you see a team plucking your boy TB12 out of the ether just to play a Super Bowl game?
Could I see a team wanting to do it?
A playoff
yes.
game.
Could I see him accept...
The Niners, I mean, she's giving you the word.
Here's why. Tom Brady is not going to potentially put his legacy at risk by doing something
or make his legacy even greater by coming in, play one game, winning a Super Bowl.
That would be pretty magical.
It would, but if it doesn't, like if Phil Rivers, he's just game for trying. It's just like there's no downside for him in that situation.
Yeah, he has kind of a tell you what factor about his life that's a little different than the magnanimous attitude of Tom Brady.
Yes.
That's fair.
Yes.
That's fair.
As a Niner fan, I don't think I would have wanted to see that. Because, look, like you said, at the end of the day, he's going to face Patrick Mahomes, who's playing top notch.
He was out of his mind.
Exactly.
But it's a better option than anything else they have.
Well, it's a cool story, but I'd rather just lose it.
So you'd rather have Josh Johnson than Phil Rivers?
Well, I mean, that's what we had, and look how it went. So I don't think it would have been different. It wouldn't have been that different, I think.
They were in the NFC Championship game with their fourth quarterback. That's pretty remarkable.
Pretty crazy on
it just shows how great the 49ers are.
Yeah.
They're that good that they could play with Brock Purdy and make Brock Purdy into what he is.
Well, we'll find out.
What is their quarterback situation? Brock Purdy, they're going with Brock.
He's going to be ready to go, and he's their guy.
Sam Darnold.
He's their guy. Sam Darnold's probably their third guy.
Yeah.
That Lance is their backup.
Sam Darnold is on that team?
Sam Darnold's on the 49ers.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is legit news to me.
Yeah.
They are a mess. And it's so interesting that they've been so good with kind of a mess at quarterback.
Yeah, they haven't exactly had consistency
essentially
there.
10 plus years.
Right.
And they're always in the conversation. If they got that quarterback right, then who knows what they would be.
We'll see if they got it right or not, because this is a little bit of a Tony Gonsolin situation for me. Tony Gonsolin, when he pitched last year, this is great. And it wasn't that he was doing it by luck. He pitched his you-know-what off. Yeah. He was great.
He was an all-star.
But when the season started, I'm like, I'm going to need to see that again. I am not a true believer yet. Okay. Show me again. That's kind of where, Brock Purdy came in, played beautifully, won them a bunch of games. He was terrific. I'm going to need to see that again.
49ers were also in that Matthew Stafford conversation at the same time that the Rams signed him. He could have gone to the 49ers, and who knows what would have happened there. Jorge.
Then we'd be seeing the Stetson Bennett show. We'd be seeing the Bennett show, which we're going to see on Saturday night. That's coming up in about 15 minutes or so. But Factor Cap coming up next. It's Travis Lee, 710 ESPN.
Today is the day.
Hey, ESPN LA listeners, it's John Ireland. You want to play golf with me and corporate Greg Bergman? You can, thanks to Terranea. If you listen to the show, you know Terranea is my favorite place in the world. It's like going to Hawaii without getting on a plane. Well, you can play golf with Bergman and I at the links at Terranea, and then we'll buy you lunch. Here's how you win. Send a video of your golf swing to @ESPN Los Angeles on Instagram or on Twitter. We'll take a look at your golf swing. If you impress us, you'll be playing golf at Terranea with me and Bergman, and then we'll buy you lunch. And you can eat, all you can drink. We don't care. We're not paying.
But I'm going to go back. First of all, it's not a cap.
It is a cap.
Welcome to Factor Cap.
Hey, guys.
Yo.
By the time you guys see me on Monday, I will have gone to 2 concerts.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going
Maggie
to a concert.
Rogers and
Noah Khan. Noah Khan's tonight at the Greek. And then Sunday is Hollywood Bowl, Maggie Rogers. I'm going to get there early. We're going to have some, wine. I'm going to drink. And I'm also going to have, kickball playoffs, and we were potentially playing back-to-back games, so it's going to be exciting.
Okay. What position do you play?
I play third.
Okay.
So I play third, and we there's a lot of bunters in our league, so we had to have our bunting strategy.
Bunting
yeah.
and kickball?
Yeah.
I thought that was illegal.
That sounds
incredibly
terrible.
serious. We take it very seriously. All right, so
it's like bunting in a wiffle ball game. Like, what are we doing here?
You want to win.
Yes.
So they're playing the game right now on NFL Network, and it's on in our studio. But last night, Kirk Cousins was on the sidelines for the Vikings Seahawks preseason game, and he was on the sidelines, no pads, helmet on. And he just looked like a little kid dressing up as Kirk Cousins for Halloween.
He had his jersey on with no shoulder pads on, too.
Yeah, exactly. So no one looks good in a football jersey and no pads. Travis, fact or cap?
Cap, because you left out the most important part. You can look fine in a football jersey with no pads, but you can't put a helmet on.
Yeah.
It's the helmet that makes it look weird. It's the helmet that takes it from you look like you're in a football uniform to you look like the Great Kazoo, where you got this giant dome on this little because no matter, you could put Aaron Donald with a football helmet on and no shoulder pads, it'll look goofy. It'll make Aaron Donald look little and narrow. And Kirk Cousins is not the biggest dude in the world, so he looks like a matchstick with a something stuck on top of it.
And in general,
it's a weird look.
Wearing your helmet without pads is just bizarre. But the football jersey with no helmets, I mean, that is like the classic American high school Friday Night Lights look. You know what I mean? You wear your jersey to school.
And it looks weird.
On the
just
night that you're
letting
playing. I don't mind it. As long as it's
so.
a jersey that's cut like
it makes everyone look tiny.
the way that you're supposed to wear it. You know what I'm saying? Like as opposed to like a big one.
If you're like if it's down to your knees,
Yeah,
and
no, you
it's
don't want
too
that.
big, but you can make that look.
Kirk
correct.
Cousins did not make it look good. To be clear, okay?
No.
Yes.
All right, Jorge?
No, these guys pretty much summed it up for me. Yeah.
All right.
Put your shoulder pads on or take your helmet off.
Yeah.
Those are your two
Not
options.
Plus, I don't even have a football jersey, so I don't even have one.
All right, so I'm going to play this sound. It's Austin Reeves on a podcast, and he was talking about when he found out that Chris Paul was going to the Warriors.
When me and my brother had kid camp back home, basketball camp, and one of the coaches that was there, he ran across the gym and told me, and I was like, you're probably looking at the wrong, I think there's butt crack sports or something that always puts out false stuff. But he was like, no. So I don't know. That was strange.
All right. So you were just like Reeves when he found out that Chris Paul was going to the Warriors. Yates, fact or cap?
Fact. I thought it was a little weird, especially because Chris Paul has been part of two of the biggest trades, one of which didn't happen, to the Lakers,
right.
And for him to go to the Warriors now is a little weird. But can we return to what was actually said there?
Yes, of course.
When Emily texted this, I didn't realize that he actually botched the name of the fake site by calling it Butt Crack Sports.
It's ball sack, right?
Yeah. Yes.
I was hoping so bad you were going to say that today, and I did not realize the
name
bait
of the
was
site.
going to be that easy.
No, it's just the name of the site. I'm not saying anything untoward. It's just the name of the site.
Well, it makes me laugh because, yes, it is Ballsack Sports. And what I texted back was, any day we get to mention Ballsack Sports is a good day on this station. So good job out of you, Austin Reeves.
Trev?
Chris Paul has entered the phase of his career where there's nothing about him and his career that surprises me. So that he landed on the Warriors, it was one of those, I didn't think it was fake or anything like that because there's nothing about Chris Paul being on any of those, how many teams in the NBA? 30? Any of the 30 teams in the NBA that would make me go, really? That Chris Paul's at that point where he's going to be on a lot of different teams.
Have you guys been fooled by Butt Crack Sports? Because I've gotten fooled a little bit. I had to double check it. Oftentimes when I'll see a weird story, I'll see like Fax News instead of it's not Fox News, Fax Sports instead of Fox Sports.
The bird has kind of grown out of that. There was a time when these sort of fake sites announcing fake news was a big part of the operation, and I feel like Ballsack was a little late to that game in terms of, like fake Jeff Passons or fake Woj's, like these people.
Passing with multiple ends.
Right.
Yeah.
These people were all over the place. And so for a total site, I haven't gotten fooled in a long time by anybody like that.
So I have not gotten fooled in a long time either, but for a different reason. I came into this business way before there were fake accounts of Twitter and all this stuff. But I came up in a business with somebody that mistakes were simply not tolerated.
Yeah. Right.
And if you made a mistake, your career was hanging in the balance. And I made a couple early and realized that I was not going to be afforded the opportunity
to make
of a couple more. So you learn very quickly not to make those mistakes. And if you see something like, oh, I want to do that, it's, hold on, let me see if anybody else is reporting. Let me see if anybody else has that. And you learn I am not a trained journalist, but I am a person that likes to have a roof over my head and food on the table. So I wanted to make sure that I had that right. And I learned very, very quickly that mistakes were not tolerated.
It's okay not to be the first.
I'm glad you bring that up because I am a trained journalist, and you're exactly right. When you're in a newsroom in which things are going to spaces that are permanent, i.e. newsprint, that you have to issue corrections if you get them wrong, you become hyper vigilant. Maybe not necessarily because you had an overlord boss, but because that was just the nature of the business, which is that if you make a mistake, somebody's going to have to pay for it.
Same result, different ways to get there.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, like, I mean, personally, I only have a couple people, like, notifications from them. Like, I will get a ping if Jeff Passan tweets something. I'll get a ping if Woj tweets something or Shams tweets something. So that's how I protect myself. It's like, if it doesn't come from those people for a while, then that's it's not to be totally completely reported
I've been lucky enough to be able to make friends with a lot of these guys too, so that you can just ask them what's actually going on and then get in the real story.
All right, so today, on this day in 2008, in the men's 4x100 freestyle relay, American Jason Lezak tracks down Olympic 100-meter freestyle champion Alain Bernard in the final leg to set a world record and win gold, preserving Michael Phelps' chase for 8 gold medals.
Let me essentially describe the scene right now. Travis has both fingers in the air in a victory pose.
We'll get to that later, but this is Michael Phelps has the most singular medals in a Olympics, and I remember specifically watching this. I also remember watching the him compete in the 100-meter freestyle butterfly, beating out Kavich at the last second, doing something my coaches never told me to do, which is take that extra half stroke to get that in. I remember the 2008 Olympics, and especially the swimming of that Olympics, like it's burned into my brain. So this is a core memory for me as a sport watcher. But this 2 weeks from Michael Phelps is the greatest 2 weeks from any athlete. Travis, Frederick Cap.
Well, I want to focus on the most important part of this.
Oh, come on. He nearly lost it to the Australian. I just watched that earlier.
Explain to me what nearly losing is called. What's another word for that?
He had a body length lead and he got caught by a half body length.
Yelling.
Could it possibly be winning time?
What's another word for nearly losing something?
Not losing.
Right. Winning. Right. Jason Lezak won the race by running down. What was the French guy's name?
It was Rudy
Gobert.
By running down Rudy Gobert, or swimming down Rudy Gobert.
It was Alain Bernard.
Alain Bernard.
And then Australian guy almost caught him, though.
Who was almost doesn't count, Emily. There's 3 things. The highest one is the winner. That's the one they stood on. They won. And he's a gaucho.
Thank you. Let's get to the important
Jason
part.
Lezak is a gaucho. So whatever accomplishment Michael Phelps may have had during those 2 weeks, was it 8 gold medals? Was it 8?
I'm sorry?
Phelps won 8 that week or 2 weeks, those Olympics.
2 weeks.
One of them is courtesy of a gaucho. When you need something done, you call a gaucho.
Oh, come on.
And Jason Lezak is just as important to that story as anything else.
I just need you to know that from the Twitter, somebody has let us know that, in fact, butt crack and ball sack sports are 2 separate operations.
Oh, they are.
So
I got to add butt crack to my follows.
So he was not making a mistake. I'm going to say cap on the single greatest 2 weeks by any one human being, but I will say fact on that's the last time I can remember, like, collectively being out with a full-throated USA chant type of a situation going with the people watching that race. Like, I can't, World Baseball Classic didn't really have moments like that. Even the World Cup is sort of different in that way, even though the women got eliminated. But, like, that was one where I can remember people watching a swim meet, you know what I mean, which is not exactly great on TV. You know what I mean? You're basically looking at graphics moving up and down the thing. And, yeah, that was a cool moment.
Who had a better 2 weeks?
It's not quite branded in my brain. I don't know. I could think of somebody probably in the football playoffs that I could think of. But, I mean, gold medals are gold medals, so it's hard to say no to that.
And it's solely individual. There's nothing. It's only Michael Phelps can only compete against his own self.
Yeah.
And he was competing against the top people in the entire world. It's not like he's competing
against. Let me tell you, summer of 2004, I had a pretty strong run in college. No, I'm joking. But no, I do think, though, that Michael Phelps will eventually. It's interesting because when you do individual sports, it's looked at differently than team sports, and I think that's why it's kind of hard to compare them, But eventually,
and he's a swimmer.
Yeah,
it's just not something that we pay super close attention to, other than every 4 years when the Olympics rolls around. This is a little slightly off topic. You guys excited about the Olympics going to be here in 5 years?
Yeah.
I can't wait. I really can't wait. I think it's going to be awesome.
How do I explain this? Over the years, and I don't want to yuck yums here, over the years, the Olympics have become something I've moved away from more and more.
I get that. Me too.
Simply because of how they operate within the places that they are.
Couldn't agree more.
Things like that. They don't feel as good to me as they did when I was a younger person.
Yes. Cosign. Yes.
But being here is a big factor.
I was a kid when they were here in '84. It was so much fun.
That's
and
cool.
I understand it's changed a lot, and maybe it won't be what I remember when I was a kid. It was great, and I'm excited to try to run that back again. Whether it's successful or not, I don't know. But the '84 Olympics in L.A. were kind of the reason we got to what you're talking about, because it was the first one ever that made a ton of money.
Right.
It developed a lot of infrastructure. There's still a fund that exists in the city that funds a lot of other things from some of the surplus from that. Every other city has been chasing it ever since.
And can't do it the same way.
Not to the same way, but I'm incredibly excited for it coming back.
I will tell you this. When I was in the throes of life thinking about, is Los Angeles really a place I want to live full time? The Olympics were part of it. I thought, you know what? That place is going to get an Olympics, and that might be a cool place to be while that happens.
Incredibly fun.
That was in the calculus of decisions in moving here.
And also about that, too, 2008 was one of the last times, too, where I feel like we had this big collective feeling behind the Olympics.
Yeah.
It was peak of cable TV. Everyone was still watching TV because by the time the 2012 Olympics came around, streaming was still around.
Excellent
we had big stars in the 2008 Olympics, and that people followed, and
Jason
it was
Lezak.
interesting. Oh, come on. Get out of here with that.
I'm having a good day today.
But, okay, so Carly also pointed out to me maybe Linsanity, but I don't think it's the same level to me as Michael Phelps.
Since you brought it up, I got to say it again. It's my favorite little factoid that I possess.
Okay.
3 people in the history of Sports Illustrated. He's not. Harvard. 3 people in the history of Sports Illustrated have been on the cover in back-to-back weeks.
Okay. I'm listening.
You want to take a guess? 2 of them are very
I
obvious.
want to know.
Ali.
Okay.
Jordan.
And
Jeremy Lin.
Wow, how about that?
So that tells you that 2-week run
was
for
a big
Jeremy
deal.
Lin
Yeah.
was a bit.
Kept him in the league for years.
Ali, you're like, yeah, sure. Jordan, yeah, sure.
Also, how have they not had more than one? Like, that seems like a really weird thing to.
Because there's a new thing every week.
I get it,
right?
but
Jeremy Lin, who was a journeyman basketball, barely in the league.
Journeyman is
2
generous
covers in a row.
That's the word I was looking for.
I love that little factoid. It's one of my all-time favorites.
Is he still in the league?
I don't think so.
No.
I know he won a chip with the Raptors.
Yeah, he was on that
team. Because he was
team.
with that 2019 Raptors team.
More Jason Lezak when we come back. And
Not a
maybe
chance.
a little Stetson Bennett and what our expectations are for maybe the quarterback of the future for the Rams. It's coming up. It's Travis Slee, 710 ESPN.
Afternoons on 710 ESPN with Sutton.
With only 8 teams remaining in the inaugural League's Cup, the Black and Gold are looking unstoppable.
The Black and Gold moving on to the quarterfinals of the League's Cup.
It's a massive showdown with Mexican giant Monterrey at the iconic Rose Bowl.
Oh my goodness, Denny!
Tonight, it's win or go home as LAFC collide with Mexican side Monterrey. Coverage begins tonight at 7 p.m. on 710 ESPN and the ESPN LA app.
Chris and Sliwa.
But do you think it's the right move? Do you think it's the right strategy?
No.
Live from LA Live on 710 ESPN.
Some of these dads in the Little League World Series games are getting
after
up,
it, bro.
Battle of the Dakotas.
Did I ever tell you about the time I saw Dad get thrown out of a game in Williamsport? So the deal in Williamsport is that they don't sell booze at the parks, obviously.
Makes
Kids,
sense,
you know what I'm saying? I mean, and listen, shouts to Beto Duran.
What about weed?
I mean, no. I mean, if you knew what Williamsport, Pennsylvania was like, you'd know that's not even close to what they're doing up there.
Isn't it an old colony for rehab and stuff like that?
Yes, that is a big part of what it is. It is a rehab sort of haven where a lot of people go and sort of turns their lives around there from other cities on the East Coast. But so one time, this guy, I'll never forget this. I was sitting in a crowd. And I was sitting with some parents because, I was interviewing these parents. And the team that was getting ready to play was there, as were their parents.
Okay.
And some guy comes stumbling up the thing, and you hear a woman go, "Hey, Dale, get out of here. I told you not to come up here looking like that." He was blitzed. And his own wife was screaming at him to get out of the stadium because I guess he had gotten plastered at lunch and he'd embarrassed himself in front of all the parents prior to. And she was like, "You're not coming to the game. You blew it earlier." He showed up anyway and was escorted off of the premises. Courtesy his wife's request to leave the ballpark.
I thought when you started the story, I thought an umpire was going to be involved. And then it was his
own
wife.
family member told him to get out of town. He's
Dale must have
embarrassing
been
the kids.
On the top floor, and then
Dale was a large man, and he was not physically capable of making it up and down those stairs, thankfully for the kids.
All right. We are just 1 week away from the ultimate fantasy draft party at Hollywood Park Casino. And if you have 7 friends in your league, you want to be caller number 7 right now. Right now. At 877-710-ESPN. And you can join us next Friday night for the fantasy party of the summer. Caller 7 right now. 877-710-ESPN. Hollywood Park Casino. Eat, drink, draft. Caller number 7. And you and 7 of your friends get a little draft party.
And don't wait. Call it right now. You have the opportunity right now.
Right now.
Not later. Right now.
Not in 5 minutes. Not later. Right now. Right now.
Right now.
We're 11 minutes away from Northwest Little League taking the field against Media, Pennsylvania.
Are they going to win? Give me the line.
I don't know if they're going to win because the thing is, their best pitcher, this kid JT, he threw yesterday, and so they have limits on pitches.
Tournament
and
baseball,
stuff, so
baby.
It's tough. It's not easy. So
tournament baseball picked him, and that the Rams took a quarterback for the first time since Jared Goff, really, especially relatively high in the draft, 4th round. That there were all sorts of rumors about them trying to move on from Matthew Stafford during the offseason, rumors that they have denied. And Matthew Stafford's getting to a certain age. He's had some injuries. He's coming off a season where he was not productive for a variety of different reasons. I'm not a preseason football fan, but I am excited to see him play tomorrow because he's got that thing. He's got that I know what I'm doing. He's small. He's skinny.
Right.
But he's got this, do you know who I am and what I do? He's got that vibe, and I'm excited to see what it looks like.
The question I have for Stetson Bennett is, and this is a question I have sort of more largely in the NFL too, is the era of the quarterback being some big hulking dude who is definitively your best player.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that every team needs at all times in order to succeed? And I think that there are certain coaches in this league, McVay probably being one of them, who think, not really. And I'm thinking of Shanahan as well in this regard, where it's like, no, we've got a guy, and if the guy can do the things I need him to do, that's fine by me. I feel like that's much closer to the lines along which Stetson Bennett will exist in this league, and not necessarily as the quote-unquote heir apparent to somebody like Stafford. Do you see what I'm saying?
I do.
A system guy. I mean, people say this all the time. People forget Tom Brady was a great quarterback because he was a great system quarterback, not because he was blowing you away with anything he could do from a measurable standpoint. And my question would be, if Rams fans want Stetson to be successful as the guy who follows Stafford, that's probably going to be closer to the guy that you get rather than somebody that looks like, say, Justin Herbert.
So, okay. I think there's a couple of things going on here. Number one, do you have to have Justin Herbert, the guy that's 6'6" and can run and he's fast
and a rocket arm? Yeah.
Rocket arm. Do you need him? No. But if you don't, everything else needs to be A+.
That's true.
So the shortcut is to have one of those and then be pretty good other places. That's exactly what the Rams were.
Yeah.
The Rams were pretty good everywhere. They had a deficiency at quarterback, and they went and they fixed it. And they went from a guy, maybe slightly better than a guy, to a guy that's really good.
Yeah.
And a guy that they took out of an environment where all the other pieces around him were not
terrible.
particularly good. So it's the quickest way to jumpstart it along the way. You don't have to be that guy that stands there and throws it 80 yards. But Brady's thing was not that he could, but he also could throw it through a hole that was the same size
accurate,
as the football.
unflappable. Yeah.
Unflappable, accurate, really smart. That there are ways to juice it, but there are not a ton of ways to juice it. You look at the guys who are the best guys in the league right now. Just Hurts, Mahomes, Allen, Burrow. They're all big, fast, mobile guys that pass first. But when Ish goes down, they can get the hell out of there and make it happen. Bennett can do the second thing. I just don't know if he can do the first thing.
Those guys are also guys, though, that none of those guys played in the SEC. And I do think that there is something to be said.
Hurts did.
Hurts did. Pardon me. I'd forgotten you mentioned his name. But I do think there's something to be said for Stetson, frankly, understanding the speed of the game.
Sure.
In terms of his ability to have football IQ that is not otherwise made up for by his size. I thought it was a weird pick, if I'm being very honest.
I do too.
You know what I mean? And I was just kind of like, really, Stetson Bennett? Like, I don't necessarily know that I saw this guy playing NFL football at all. Never mind for a team with a coach that is sort of as progressive, forward-thinking as he is in McVay. So this is all very much still in the experiment phase for me as we see. And actually, I will be watching the football when I see him. I'm interested to see what this looks like.
Me too. I was surprised. I was surprised not only that they took him, but where they took him surprised me a lot. But there's something. This goes back to something we were talking about earlier in the week. I believe that there is loser DNA in organizations. I believe that there are if you don't expect to win and you expect things to go poorly, they're probably going to
do so. Yeah.
There's the opposite's true. If you expect to win and all you're used to is winning, there's something to that too. And look, I think the example that disproves what I'm saying is Matt Leinart. And I think that this is and Matt Leinart was big and strong and all these things. But Matt Leinart in college, was in high school, at Mater Dei, at SC, all Matt Leinart did was win.
Yep.
But he was also surrounded by guys that were Mater Dei had better players than everybody they played. USC had better players than everybody they played. Georgia had better players than everybody they played.
That's true.
So if you go into there and now all of a sudden the difference between Georgia and Missouri, it's night and day. The difference between Georgia and TCU was night and day. The difference between NFL team that's the best and NFL teams that the worst is virtually no distance.
Matt Leinart is an interesting comp. I can't even picture Matt Leinart in an NFL uniform. Like, in my mind's eye, I have Matt Leinart as an NFL quarterback.
Didn't work.
Ever.
Yeah, he had a very brief moment with the Cardinals where it looked like it was about to start happening, and then Kurt Warner came to town, and that was the end of that.
Oh, man. Matt Leinart is an interesting comp. I hadn't thought of that.
For the same reasons,
yeah,
too,
no,
right?
exactly right. Because he's won a bunch. I mean, he won. Stetson won 2 in a row.
2 in a row.
Great. I mean, listen, Stetson Bennett's never paying for another beer in the state of Georgia for the rest of his life. That's clear. This is not a knock on who that guy is. It's just in the modern NFL, for a human of his size to be handed the keys to a franchise, not that he is, it's very hard to visualize unless a lot of other things happen.
But he's also different than Matt Leinart, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of the criticism of Georgia the past 2 years was that you're doing this with Stetson Bennett. Like, Stetson Bennett was potentially the thing that was could have held back Georgia in the biggest moments, and he still should have stepped up. Unless Matt Leinart was like that with USC.
It was you're right about that, but Stetson Bennett was not a hindrance. Because he wasn't a super highly recruited guy, because he wasn't a guy that was there as a freshman, like he bounced around. He was there, he left, he went to junior college, he came back. He had to fight to get his way on the team. So there was a little bit of a where did this guy come from factor, which never existed
but
with
they
Leinart.
Could have gotten someone else.
But they didn't. They gave him the keys to the car, and he drove it
and
incredibly well.
Yeah, it worked.
And I love the idea of Riz, Emily, or just swagger. How valuable is it when, okay, everybody's good now? How much of that matters? Yeah. And look at Mahomes. Look at Allen. Those guys walk around like kings of the universe, and they kind of are, and they've had a great deal of success. Mahomes is the ultimate example. Mm-hmm. And then there are guys that are a little less swaggy, and it just doesn't quite feel the same.
Doesn't translate the same
Now, he's
way.
got to play, but he's got that second part.
We had to rate the quarterbacks by swag factor, I guess, now.
You also got to play,
yes.
right? And I'm not even saying
like Baker
well.
Mayfield has big swag.
He does. And he had, for a moment, everybody was on board.
Lightning in a bottle right here, too.
You kept throwing it to the wrong team.
Was that a Thursday night game or was that a Monday night game?
Thursday night against the Raiders.
Yeah.
He pulled the Phillip Rivers.
Yeah.
He showed up the day before and won the damn game.
That was arguably, that was one of the better moments of the season last year.
Clayton Kershaw back for the Dodgers last night, and you can all breathe easy. We're all good. We're all good, I think. Maybe. Lance Lynn? That's coming up next. It's Travis Slee, 710 ESPN.
With only 8 teams remaining in the inaugural League's Cup, the Black and Gold are looking unstoppable.
The Black and Gold moving on to the quarterfinals of the League's Cup.
It's a massive showdown with Mexican giant Monterrey at the iconic Rose Bowl.
Oh my goodness, Denny!
Tonight, it's win or go home as LAFC collide with Mexican side Monterrey. Coverage begins tonight at 7 p.m. on 710 ESPN and the ESPN LA app.
I like it when I feel like I'm having an impact one way or the other in the world.
Okay.
And on individuals in particular,
Sure.
people that I interact with. And you and I have been interacting quite a bit over
Quite a
the
bit.
last week or so. That you immediately felt compelled to text me a picture of somebody sticking what looks like a ribeye steak into their toaster is just wonderful.
My buddies, so I have multiple group chats. Since we've talked about the group chats today, I have one that is my friends who were all, our main point of interest is Star Wars. Another one who our main points of interest are DC sports, and another one, these all overlap somewhat. Another one who are my buddies from high school that I played ball with.
Okay.
That was in that one.
It's great.
Yeah, it was just like, my boy Reg said it. He was like, what is even happening here? And I'm like, I don't know.
Did you post this yet?
I didn't post it, no.
Okay.
But, Emily, have you seen this? Have you checked your phone yet to see this individual putting steaks in a toaster?
It's a good-sized steak.
I hate people like this on Twitter, on TikTok, who just make up these cockamamie recipes just for clicks and tweets and mentions on radio shows. It's all over the place.
I will say, though, Trav's first reaction was, not the worst idea I've ever seen.
I think it is the worst idea I've ever seen.
My main concern with this would be setting the toaster on fire as a result of
we're
the
going to have to
drippings.
make some modifications to this toaster, but the idea behind
It's
it
not awful.
is not the
it's
worst
basically
idea
a
ever.
vertical version of a George Foreman grill on some level.
It's a toaster, right? Like, you know, when you go to a hotel and they have the breakfast buffet or whatever, and they have that toaster that's just got that conveyor belt that goes around and around.
Exactly. It's the same difference.
That's what this is, and if you can get it hot enough, it'll work.
But I think if it stands up like that, I don't think it's going to work long term because it's not going to cook the way you want it to. It has to lay flat like the hotel ones do.
Simple solution: just flip the toaster.
I mean,
put the toaster on its side.
Those steaks came out looking all right. You know what I'm saying?
Look, I'm intrigued.
Do we know that if that's not just editing around it, they cooked it a separate way and they edited it back? No,
listen,
Clinton, people do this,
I know.
which is why it pisses me off.
You're right. I get it. There's a lot of phony humans out there. But what I'm saying is that if you went to somebody's house and they served you a steak and you ate it and then they doubled back afterward and say, oh, by the way, I cooked that in the toaster, would you be upset about it? Probably not.
No.
Yeah,
I'm just, as long as
shocked you're okay with this,
the
Travis.
end result is, I'm not saying that I'm going to throw away my cast iron pans and my oven.
Of course not.
I'm just saying that
you've got a barbecue. You just got a barbecue, new barbecue.
If
nice and fresh.
Sliwa came to you and did this,
because Sliwa doesn't know how to cook. Like if somebody that knows how to cook came to me and said, you know what you should try, I would listen. If Alan came to me with it, I would dismiss it immediately. Because
I guarantee these people don't know how to cook.
Maybe. I don't know.
I'm going to post this on the Travis and Sliwa All-Stars because people need to see this.
It's pretty great.
It's pretty good.
I don't.
Am I a member of the All-Stars?
But yeah, that whole Twitter page, the messed up food thing is literally my nightmare. I hate it.
There's another one called effed up looking food.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, what's the phrase? You eat with your eyes first, right? It's got to look palatable before you can dive into it. Occasionally, you'll get something that looks like a dog's breakfast. It tastes pretty good, but it's rare.
I will engage you in my nightmare next time I have some of these messed up foods come up on my Twitter or my TikTok feed, and then you will see the hell that I live in.
I'm with you, like generally speaking, Em, because usually it's a recipe that's an abomination. This is just a piece of meat with heat added to it.
Well,
it's just the implement used to cook it is non-traditional.
Did you get to the end of the video?
I haven't watched the video. I'm just looking at the picture.
She poured the whole bottle.
Douses it in A1, like the entire bottle. That is a far greater offense. That's a felony to the misdemeanor that is sticking steaks in a toaster. If you're going full bottle over the steak, I can't do that.
It's
way too much.
a lot, but okay, ready?
Yeah.
I like if you have a really good cut of meat and it's cooked properly, you probably don't need A1. But here's the rub. A1's pretty damn good.
It's pretty good, but it's a dipping sauce.
It's pretty damn
You don't
good.
slather the meat in A1.
I agree with you,
okay,
but
right.
I am not going to shame an A1 person. I'm okay with it. You know why it's good? Because it has anchovies in it.
It's true.
And it gives you that
little
nice,
tart.
rich little richness, little
not bad.
fishiness. It's pretty darn good.
I'm getting steaks afterwards.
Yeah, I was gonna
cooking
say,
them in the toaster.
It's a steak. It's a steak kind of
not a
night.
bad idea.
I get a steak before I go to Dodger Stadium.
You need
Then
a
I will
bigger toaster
defriend
for
you on
this.
my phone. This is how you defriend from me.
This is the
This
Emily's
is the
group
M
chat
version.
issue.
Goofy recipes that you're botching for clout.
I think the only person I've ever deleted from my phone was Sliwa because he added a green bubble to my life, and I just won't tolerate
that's
it.
another factor.
I
Don't get
just
started
won't-
on that.
Yeah, that's a no. We're not happening.
Can't do those.
It still just comes up the number. I'm like, who's this?
Yeah, you have to
Context clues will help you.
Yeah, and I have my setting where if it's every week, my stuff goes away.
Really?
Yeah, and so
That's the kind of lifestyle you're living?
I don't need it.
You don't need it,
I
yeah.
don't need it. Put it this way: if I'm not talking to you for multiple weeks at a time, I probably don't need to go back.
Yeah, you
to
don't
it,
need to know their number.
right? And so it'll probably there's not a lot of context in some of these.
How many people are you like? What do you think your top? How do you say this? What do you think the roster size is of the people you text with on a, let's just say, a monthly basis? Is it like
the
100?
total people?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think that's about right.
All right. I don't know. I feel like I have a
Maybe
lot of
slightly less, but not by a lot. Maybe 75.
100. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
That's a reasonably big number. That's bigger than I would have thought, to be honest. Not to say,
What did you
I just feel like you live a prairie composed, you know what I'm saying? Sort of
Look,
lifestyle.
I'm a man of a certain age. I
Right.
know what I like. I
Yeah,
know what I don't like.
this is what I'm saying. You don't have room for all this other noise.
But I have a lot of things that I do like. I have a lot of people that I do like to communicate with.
Good.
I've got a college group. I've got a local group. I've got
Okay.
work groups. I've got family groups.
All right.
I got some stuff.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah.
I like to see that.
I even text you on
As
occasion.
on occasion, well, yes, we talk about goofy baseball stuff all the time. You know what I mean? But
This is not goofy baseball stuff,
No.
but it is baseball stuff. Kershaw came back for the first time, basically a couple months. He was good.
yeah,
He was good. The Rockies are not good.
No.
So I guess you can kind of put that in the equation a little bit, but 2 weeks on the shelf, no minor league rehabilitation time at all. He just comes back in last night, 5 innings, 1 run, no walks, 4 Ks. He looked like Clayton Kershaw. And instead of having Kershaw, they absolutely have to have Clayton Kershaw at his best if they're going to make a run.
There's a couple things about this, and you mentioned one of them. The no rehab starts to me was a good sign because it also shows that they figured out this process of how to get Kershaw back to where he needs to be without it being some big surprise.
Mm-hmm.
And years before, it's been like, oh, right, Kershaw's hurt again. And there was a certain inevitability about it that almost was disappointing. This was more like, oh, no. This is Kershaw's shelf time. And when he comes back, we'll be ready to go. So that part of the process I thought was encouraging. But you're right. Without Kershaw being in top form, and not just his top form, but top form for the rest of the league, they can't win.
No,
they can't win.
I agree,
and
it's they can. It's just much more difficult.
Well, I mean, and we've talked about this, Greg Bergman and I, Corporate Greg, on Blue Review, which you can check out at ESPN YouTube.
I'm on that
ESPN
a lot,
LA's YouTube. that being the thing that happens every time I mention it is now much funnier than anything else surrounding it. But I almost completely forgot what I was saying. Oh, here's what I was saying. The issue with it is that you're talking about the Rockies, for example. The competition goes up in the playoffs. It sounds so obvious, but it's real. The teams are better, so you can't just get by with the same type of stuff.
And even the good teams are better than they are during the regular season.
That's what I'm saying.
That bullpen guy you get in August doesn't pitch in the postseason.
No, he doesn't throw then. You tighten up the rosters.
Right.
Yeah.
You one of your starters is now in the bullpen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? The guy, I'm trying to think. I'll use an example here locally. The Phil Bickford on the other team, you ain't getting to him.
He's not making the postseason roster, likely.
He's not on the team. And even if he is, he's there in the event that you get a 12-0 game.
Right.
And you just you don't want to use any of your real guys. So you have to have him. If the Dodgers are going to win the World Series this year, and I think they got a chance, they're going to have to do it by winning a bunch of games 8-6.
Yeah.
That's how they're going to do it. They're not going to win a bunch of 3-2s.
Thankfully, they're good at that.
They are good at it, and they have a roster and a team constructed that can play like that. The difference is Kershaw has to win, right?
Yeah.
So, and if you're just going ace for ace, and like Max Fried, the Braves are going to do Spencer Strider, they're going to expect their guy to win too.
Correct.
Right? So you're a little bit of a stalemate at that point. Beyond that, Julio, I still feel mostly good about going into these situations. But after that, Bobby Miller, your third guy, Lance Lynn, your third guy. Tony Gonsolin, I'm almost positive, is the odd man out at this point.
Maybe, but Tony Gonsolin also is a guy that perhaps can get innings. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know that I trust Urias any more than I trust Gonsolin for being real.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's crazy, man.
Again, like, the struggles early in the season to me indicated something larger than just not having his stuff. You know what I'm saying? We've talked about this, whether or not he's exactly as in shape as he needs to be.
He's not.
Or whatever the case may be. I'm not saying that his top side isn't way higher. That's a given. I just don't know that I trust him as much. But here's the thing I do like.
There's one other thing you left out, though, before you move to the next
thing. Go ahead.
thing.
What's up?
Julio's not scared.
No, that's true.
Julio is. There's no holy blank. He's going to go out there. He might get hit, but it's not going to be because he's afraid to throw the ball over the plate.
You're correct.
With Tony Gonsolin,
he nibbles a lot.
He nibbles a ton.
Yeah,
I'll
give you that. But what I'm saying is what I like about this team is that these guys are having fun. Like, this dancing bit is not just goofy stuff for the cameras. Like, when a team is bonded on a level like that, it plays a factor in terms of who you are when you get to the postseason and the metal that's tested of you. I do think they have what it takes from a bat standpoint to get far. Just can they get over the hump to get a title? I don't know about that.
It's a lot to ask.
Yeah.
It's a lot to ask because you can't go cold.
Right.
If those bats go cold, and like you just said a second ago, you're facing not only good pitching, but good pitching that's already been condensed even more.
Exactly.
So you're getting more of the best guys more often. So that makes it far more challenging. And you just don't have the arms on your side to go through, hey, let's just get through 6 innings and have it be 1-1, and then we'll throw it to the bullpens, and that's where our opportunity is. You're going to have to hit guys because your guys are going to get hit.
This is very
That's
true.
part of it. You said something else that I want to get into next. The camaraderie, the pressure, and the expectation as we get closer to the postseason for the Dodgers is far different than it's been in the last 4 or 5 years. And they're not as good, but they might be in a better spot. That's next. It's Travis Slee. Yates in for Slee on 710 ESPN.
Let's go!
With only 8 teams remaining in the inaugural League's Cup, The black and gold are looking unstoppable.
The black and gold moving on to the quarterfinals of the League's Cup.
It's a massive showdown with Mexican giant Monterrey at the iconic Rose Bowl.
Oh my goodness, Denny!
Tonight, it's win or go home as LAFC collide with Mexican side Monterrey. Coverage begins tonight at 7 p.m. on 710 ESPN and the ESPN LA app.
Live from LA Live on 710 ESPN.
The Travis Slee Show is teamed up with Waba Grill to give away lunch for your office. Listen today during the Waba Grill lunch hour on 710 for the cue to call, and you could be the Waba Grill Workplace of the Week. That's today on 710 ESPN. Try Waba Grill's new Boom Boom Tacos with their Value Bowl combo, a mini chicken bowl, a Boom Boom Taco, and a drink for only $8.59 plus tax. Now through Sunday only at Waba Grill. Eat smart, be healthy.
Northwest Little League underway against Media, Pennsylvania. Stranger to runner at third to start the game. Do we know the details on the El Segundo team? Do we have the update? I'll have to find that for later. Because El Segundo,
is that our California representation?
I believe their representation, they are planning to get in as well. I will look that up as well because I do not want to simply be making it all about
You've done most of the baseball things there are to do.
Correct.
That's near the top of your list, isn't it? The Little League World Series.
It's fun, man. And it's one of those things where you get Williamsport has a lot to do with that because of the place that it is. You know, there's a vibe there that's very interesting, but it's also, like I said, I don't like using the word pure because I feel like that's a little awkward, but it is one of the most basic levels of what baseball kind of is. You know what I mean? It's not a whole lot of other junk. You're there to play. You're there to hang out with your friends. Your family's there. That's it. You lose, you go home.
They play on ESPN at 6 p.m. tonight.
Okay,
it's,
El Segundo
Northern and Southern California.
Is that to go to Williamsport?
I do
Likely,
not
yes.
know the answer.
I think it would be because that's the time of year that we are in. So.
Jorge, are you laughing at me right now?
No, you'll hear it in a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. I just, because for those of you that are not watching on YouTube, 90% of the time I'm looking across the desk at Clinton. We're having a conversation. And then to my 3 o'clock is Emily and Jorge. And I will look in there occasionally, and all of a sudden I see Jorge cracking up on something.
Yeah, that's because we have our own show back here.
Oh, trust me. The Behind the Glass show is a whole other operation. It is one of the... What was that? It is one of the... What was I trying to say there?
I don't know. You tell me.
That's funny. I don't know. That's a weird one. I don't remember what I was saying. I don't know. It is one of the...
Classic.
Classic probably is right.
Classic.
Yeah. I stopped mid-go.
Should be a detective.
So probably. I'm Friday.
An audio detective.
I'm Friday. He's Tyler. The boss is Jorge. I told you I listen to Dragnet every single Sunday night of my life. It's great.
That you listen to it is the thing that...
The big broadcast on WAMU. It's fantastic.
But we got a trickle out of some of the schedule yesterday for the Lakers going into the season. But this is one little factoid to have. So the Lakers play Phoenix with Kevin Durant on October 26th, again, provided that everyone is playing. But this will be the first time since 2018 that LeBron and KD would face off if they are both playing on the court at the same time.
Interesting.
Which is
either 5 years?
Yeah, either one has always been injured.
When would that? Wow, what teams would they have even been on?
Warriors and Cavs.
I guess Warriors and Cavs. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's. Are you sure?
It's a very weird stat. Yeah, no, it was tweeted out.
Yeah,
it was like an ESPN
Ball
tweet out.
Sports?
No, it wasn't. But I remember us bringing this up last Christmas. But then I think either LeBron was injured or Kevin Durant was injured and they couldn't play. But yeah, it would have been the first time last December.
I think that obviously this is not breaking news. I think that the Lakers are going to be really good this year.
Yeah.
The league thinks they're going to be really good this year. The television networks think that they're going to be really good this year.
It'll be fun to watch.
Yeah. They get opening night. And I think opening night of the NBA season, there's only 2 games, I believe, right? That's what it was last year. I think there's just 2 games on that first night. There's the East Coast game. There's the West Coast game.
Yeah, because opening night is treated like it's like the opposite of Christmas.
Right.
That's the way it works.
And they get the game, the first one, Lakers at Nuggets to open the season.
Oh, ring ceremony.
Awesome.
You got to watch another ring
there's
ceremony.
bad blood in the off season between these two teams. With Michael Malone jawing, with LeBron jawing.
Was that?
Good.
I mean, okay.
I know it's low stakes, bad blood.
Yeah, I was going to say.
It's
something.
I don't know.
Usually is nothing.
This is exactly
okay,
right,
fair
Emily.
enough.
Exactly right. And this is probably generational more than anything else. I loved that for 80% of the career, Larry Bird and Magic Johnson wanted the other person to die.
Right. No, I get it.
Hated
I'm fine
each
with
other. They hated each other, and it was real. Michael Jordan wasn't palling around with guys.
No,
he wasn't doing that. And I don't mean to sound like an old man right now, but the games are great no matter what. But when I know that guy hates that guy and vice versa, it's so much more fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then also the other matchup on opening night is Phoenix Suns and Warriors. Chris Paul's previous team with his current team. We'll see if he actually plays.
Schedule makers making a little magic happen there. That's
and
fun.
Great markets on all these teams.
Yeah, that's fun.
That's not going to work.
What?
Paul and Golden State.
You don't think so?
I don't.
What's not to work, I think, is the way.
That his role on that team is not going to be something he's going to love.
I would agree with that. And I also don't really understand why they did it for that exact reason.
Yeah.
Like, you're a team that already has enough veterans. You're a team that already has enough.
What is Chris Paul's greatest skill at this point in his career?
I think his greatest skill is being a leader of humans. Exactly.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Right.
That's not the problem. Though.
Yeah, that's a weird move
with
for me.
with Steph and Clay and Draymond and Steve Kerr. They don't have a leadership,
especially since you kept Draymond. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? Like, it'd be one thing if they said, "Hey, guess what, Draymond? Punching people in the face is not what we're going to do. You got to go." Then maybe you fill a void. They're all still there.
Lakers and Celtics on Christmas Day.
Okay,
here in LA.
That's a game I would go to.
Yeah. Have you been to
sure.
one of those Christmas games?
I've not been to a Christmas game.
I've
no.
only done it once or twice. I've only done it at home once.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different vibe.
Really?
And not a bad vibe. It's a very because Christmas morning is its own thing, and then going out to a thing later that night, at least for me, is something that I typically didn't do.
Right.
That I would stay at home with family and you'd have another dinner and all these
Sure.
things. But to go to, and I remember going to there going, that's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. Yeah. No.
We did it this past season with the Broncos and the Rams. And we were playing Rams on Christmas Day, and it's still a cool feeling, you know?
Emily, do you stay here typically for Christmas?
So last year I didn't because it was on Christmas Day. But I went home the week after, like the day after I flew
Didn't you
home.
get really sick too?
That was Thanksgiving.
Oh,
Thanksgiving, I got COVID, and I got real bad COVID.
Oh no!
So I went home for that.
I gotta say, I love Christmas in California. It's like one of the people are like, oh my god, don't you miss the snow? I'm like, absolutely not. It's gorgeous.
But yeah,
and it's Christmas. Are you people idiots?
With the Rams schedule, I'm usually home either I'm home the week before Christmas or the week after Christmas.
Right. Okay. So the Christmas Day games for the NBA: Bucks at Knicks, Sixers at Heat, Celtics at Lakers, Mavs at Suns, Warriors at Nuggets. Okay, so you got your 5 Christmas Day games, which the NBA, it's the unofficial opening of the NBA season, right? That's
I would argue that. Listen, if they wanted to start the season on Christmas Day, I would not hate it.
I agree.
Not even joking.
But you would get no pushback from me. The NFL is basically saying, no, you guys can't have that day. We're coming in heavy too.
Okay, so what day of the week is Christmas this year?
I don't know, Emily.
Because last year it worked out because it was on a Sunday, or was it a Monday?
I think it was a Saturday.
Or was it Saturday?
It was a weekend.
Like the NFL's not going to get
It's a Monday.
They're not going to get to
this
pull
year's a
that.
Monday.
Yes, this year's
So
a
they
Monday.
got another one. They're not going to get to pull that every year. They're going to get it on years, or they get it on a Saturday or Sunday or a Monday.
They'll probably pull it whenever Christmas is on a Saturday, whenever Christmas is on a Monday, Sunday, or Thursday. So really the only days that you
Thursday
wouldn't-
maybe, yeah.
Thursday they will. The NFL will.
3 NFL games on Christmas Day. Raiders, Chiefs. You're going to want to watch that.
Perhaps.
Right. The Giants and Eagles. You're going to want to watch that. And the Niners and the Ravens. You're going to want to watch
At
that.
the end of
Ravens.
the season, probably like week 15.
The old
Yeah.
Harbaugh Bowl.
Yeah. No, those are 3 games. And as we saw with the did you see the Hall of Fame numbers? The crappy
Yeah,
Browns.
they outdid the They outdid the NBA Finals.
They outdo everything.
Yeah.
Even when the Broncos and the Rams last year sucked,
It
people
outdoes
watched it.
everything.
To be fair, and yes, and I get the TV ratings are. Listen, for
It's
those of
not
us in this
everything,
business,
but
it's
it's
not
one
everything,
thing.
but it is one thing, and it's one thing that the NFL consistently does well, and they also consistently make it seem like it's the most important thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, which is interesting to me. I would argue that the interaction with the leagues, other than the NFL, that are not television, are pretty daggone good. You know what I'm saying? In terms of the NBA,
I don't
online or otherwise.
Oh, yeah,
you know what I mean? In terms of people who follow the leagues but aren't necessarily watching games. The NBA has almost taken games out of the equation.
It's the least interesting part of the
fanhood.
NBA.
Yeah. It's
the playoffs are great, and then the drama and the maneuvering
Yes.
is great in the NBA.
Exactly.
The actual Wednesday night game between the Bucks and the Sixers, that's fine.
Right.
But it's not must-see the way that the football game
It's
is.
also different because this is the end of the season for the NFL. These games matter
Yep.
at this point in time. All the games matter in the NFL, but these ones specifically. In the NBA, if the Lakers lose to the Celtics on Christmas Day, who cares?
Right.
The part that I just can't figure out with the NFL is there isn't one thing that they do, right? Combine, draft, free agency, holiday games, regular season games. Everything works for them. You know what I mean? Like there isn't that thing. I don't need to see that. What Pro Bowl? The Pro Bowl is the
Pro Bowl
gone.
Is the Pro Bowl still exist?
In a different form,
Okay.
not the way that it did for a long time. But even people watch it. There's just something.
I don't know how
about-
some of you guys do it, man. Like I said, I'm not the biggest
I know
NFL
you're
guy in the
not,
world.
but
It
you are-
stuns me how
You're the exception.
No, I get it. And what
Yeah.
I'm saying is that it stuns me the appetite that football fans have for so much non-game stuff.
For all of it.
Like it's like,
For all of it,
yo.
there isn't one thing that
Right.
is like, that's the one that doesn't work. Let's.
It surprises me every single time. You know what I mean? Not because I don't believe that it's real, but just because I'm just thinking to myself, like, my goodness, they only play once a week. You know, it's
When are you
wild.
going to leave the Dodger game tonight?
Probably mid-4. That's typically what I do these days. I'll go for BP and I'll go, circulate on the field, talk to some people, maybe hit the clubhouse, maybe talk to some guys, probably walk around, eat some food, drink a beer, get out of there. Mid-4.
That's not a bad plan with the Rockies.
The reason why I would go mid-4, I started this plan back in D.C., is because mid-4 is when they used to do the president's race. And so that was a great time. You see that?
That's a good gimmick.
Time to go. Yeah.
That's a good. That's one of those gimmicks that works really well.
Yeah.
Where is it? Atlanta that does the freeze?
They do the freeze.
I love that one, too.
Milwaukee has
Sausages.
the sausages.
Yeah.
The Nashville Sounds, who are in AAA, they have the Legends of Country, which is fantastic. It's Reba, Daly,
Willie Nelson?
No, Johnny Cash, and one more guy whose name I always forget.
George Jones.
That's exactly who it is.
Yeah.
Yes, they have those 4 who race every time. So if you've never been to Nashville to see that, you should do it.
That sounds good.
Dolly.
I like those. You bet on Dolly?
Reba, Dolly's blonde. Reba's got red hair. It's awesome.
Is it similar to the Founding Fathers run?
It's exactly like
Nationals?
that. Yeah, that's precisely.
Do we
what it
know
is.
who the Freeze is in Atlanta? Because that dude can haul
Yeah, I think the
ass.
Freeze was a guy that ran track at Georgia State.
Okay.
I'm fairly certain he was like an 800 runner at Georgia State.
He knows what he's doing.
He's a legitimate track runner.
All right, big difference between this year's Dodger team and some of those other ones coming into the postseason. That's next. It's Travis Lee, 710 ESPN. If you get hurt in an accident, call Sweet James. Not complicated, right? What the insurance company's going to try to do, they're going to try to make it complicated and difficult, and they're going to try to steamroll you and everything else. But what you do after a car accident, a motorcycle accident, a truck accident, whatever type of accident you find yourself in, you call Sweet James, 1-800-9-million. That's 1-800-9-million. Easy to remember. 1-800-900-0000, because you do not want to take on the insurance companies by yourself. You want somebody to help you through that. You want somebody that has the experience of nearly 20 years. You want somebody that used to work for the insurance companies so he knows their moves. That's what Sweet James does all day, every day. Personal injury, it's what they do. It's all that they do. That's why they've been awarded best attorneys in America. It's why I called Sweet James after accidents in my family. It's why I've recommended it to my friends, and they've called Sweet James after accidents in their lives. If you are hurt in an accident, call Sweet James. 1-800-9-million. That's 1-800-900-0000 and sweetjames.com.
Afternoon.
With only 8 teams remaining in the inaugural League's Cup, the Black and Gold are looking unstoppable.
The Black and Gold moving on to the quarterfinals of the League's Cup.
It's a massive showdown with Mexican giant Monterrey at the iconic Rose Bowl.
Oh my goodness, Denny!
To the week winner, which means you get Waba Grill for your office. Caller number 7 right now. We'll find out who wins next. The Waba Grill Lunch Hour on 710 ESPN.
With only 8 teams remaining in the inaugural League's Cup, the Black and Gold are looking unstoppable.
The Black and Gold moving on to the quarterfinals of the League's Cup.
It's a massive showdown with Mexican giant Monterrey at the iconic Rose Bowl.
Oh my goodness, Denny!
Tonight, it's win or go home as LAFC collide with Mexican side Monterrey. Coverage begins tonight at 7 p.m. on 710 ESPN and the ESPN LA app.
All right, so if you've been paying attention today, you know that it is a Waba Grill lunch hour, and you got a chance to win lunch for your office, and we've got today's winner. It is Jesse in Fontana. Jesse, congratulations on Waba Grill for you and your office. Way to go.
Hey, Travis, thank you so much.
So were you going to start with the tacos? You going to go dumplings? Yates is a dumplings man. What are you going to do?
Dumplings guy.
I'm a big dumplings guy myself.
Outstanding. So your favorite show on this radio station is what? Now that we've given you lunch.
Oh, Travis and Sliwa.
There you go. Okay. That's what I needed to hear. Good job, Jesse.
Thank you, guys.
Enjoy, my friend. That sounds fantastic, right? Caller number 7 today, of course, was this week's Waba Grill Workplace winner. You can win Waba Grill for your office on the 710 Waba Grill lunch hour, thanks to our friends at Waba Grill. You got to try Waba Grill's new Asian-inspired Boom Boom Taco Trios with your choice of chicken, ribeye, steak, or shrimp. You can also try Waba Grill's new Boom Boom Tacos with their Value Bowl combo. That would be a mini chicken bowl, a Boom Boom Taco, and a value drink for only $8.59 plus tax. Now through Sunday, only at Waba Grill. Eat smart, be healthy. Popular man Jesse will be, hey guys, guess what I got for us today?
Got boxes of dumplings.
Yeah,
love that guy.
Boom Boom Tacos.
Somebody who shows up with lunch at an office is automatically the most famous person.
It's okay.
A great thing.
It's the best part about being in radio.
Is the food that comes through?
Frequently, food comes through here.
This is
right.
When I was a young man and I would listen to radio shows, I would always think, "Oh, that's so cool! They just bring this stuff, you know." And then turns out it is pretty cool,
right.
you know.
No, it's when a day or two a week, all of a sudden you turn your head and there's a kitchen full of stuff.
Exactly, it's fantastic.
It's
a great feeling.
You're distracted.
I'm distracted. Well, see, here's what happened. I was trying to watch the game on the feed. Yes, and it's behind, so I had to rotate. You know exactly what's happening here. I had to rotate because the online feed is behind the cable feed, which is above me. So if you're watching on YouTube, pardon, I'm looking into the sky.
Do you need me to put the TV on a different station?
No, it's fine.
I tried to help the
it's
man,
fine.
Emily.
No, I don't want to.
Rejected my
I don't want to
assistance.
upset any apple carts. I just want this to go down the way it needs to. And there's so far been 2 base runners. They've had none.
What, in the second inning?
And my stomach is in my throat, as they say, as far as nerves are concerned. But anyway.
I do like that your old coach is still there.
Yeah, I mean, that's the reason why this matters. I mean, otherwise, these would just be kids who I don't know. But like 2 years ago,
he got some barrel on that.
He hit one out before.
Nice track.
Nice. 2 through maybe 4 years ago, the league from my kid brother's league made it this far, and I coached in that league. So like, there's still some connectivity to it, but basically, it's the coach the reason why I don't know any of these kids.
All right, so this is the Little League World Series. The Dodgers attempting to get back to the World Series for the 4th time in the last 7 years is what it would be if they could get it done. Obviously, they've only had one successful World Series run in 2020, which I'll say it again is not less than, but it's very different.
Certainly different.
It's very different. This is different. This season is different than the seasons we've seen previously. Last year, team record 111 wins. Year before that, 106 wins. Year before that, 105 wins. Year before that, 105 wins. They win a lot of games. And in all of those seasons, they were either the heavy favorite or one of the teams that there would be absolutely no surprise had they punched their ticket. This is a little different. This is a team that's not going to win 100 games, probably.
No.
This is a team that has holes. They have holes in their roster at the back end of their order. They have all sorts of holes in their starting rotation. They have holes in their bullpen.
Yeah.
And you were talking about the Freddie Freeman, the
dancing,
that they got going. They've had some different. They've had the train. They've
That's
had the
been
look
one.
through the curtain.
Yeah.
They've had some things. But there's a vibe to this team which is a lot more, hey, man, let's just see what happens, as opposed to, if we don't win the World Series, everything calls failure.
Well, I mean, and because that's the standard that the fan base has put on the team. That's the standard that by many accounts, the franchise has put on itself.
Mm-hmm.
But the stat that I always say that sums it up the most easy is the Dodgers have never won a World Series when they won 100 games. And that's such an oddball thing to think about, because you think to yourself, wow, is there actually a correlation? Probably not. But the expectation correlation is a big one. And so when you're going into this as a team and you're thinking, all right, we're not the biggest, baddest dudes on the block, so to speak. We're just here to play baseball the way that we want to. Yeah, maybe it does loosen something up, because that Padres series last year.
I was just going to, did you and I hang out at Game 1? Did we spend time together?
Did we? I can't remember.
I want to say we did.
Okay.
The reason I'm asking is
it felt different.
It felt weird, man.
Yeah.
There was something in the air in that series that was not positive. It was this sense of, impending doom.
Don't mess it up.
Yeah, don't mess it up.
Don't mess it up. If anything less than you go out there and you don't beat these guys by 4 or 5 runs, it's like, what the hell's going on?
I do think a little bit of that had to do with the fact that they were facing the Padres too,
Perhaps.
and so there was an extra element of like, oh right, it's also the little brother element. You can't
a team
botch.
that you beat like 20 out of
exactly.
the 24
You
times.
can't botch this one because they were playing well at the time, and they did. But
it was there was something in the air, and even the game one that they won, I think they were ahead 5-0 and ended up winning 5-3. I'm going by memory, but it was. Hey, man, we escaped.
Yeah.
We're the better team. We're in a good spot. You could feel it coming. Go back a couple week or month or so when they clinched before the end of the season. Andrew Friedman was on the television broadcast saying, hey, let's not just blow past this. We won another division title, and we're back in the playoffs. Savor this for – and you could almost feel that, hey, you can already feel the pressure that's being put on these guys. We're accomplishing something that all of the eggs can't be in this one basket, and they were. I don't think they are this year.
It's not, and it's such an awkward thing because what are you going to say? No, don't try to win as many games as possible. You know what I mean? But at the same time, the way that they're doing it is what is most impressive about this to me, is that they look like they're having fun. I'm sorry, that is a factor in playing a game with a bunch of other people. If you're having a terrible time, this isn't NFL football where everybody's going to go out there and try to rip somebody's head off 9 times out of 10, and that's going to get you the best result. I don't believe in that when it comes to baseball teams personally. And this particular team, this particular set of personalities, the gel factor is there. And I mean, not just because of the beginning of the season, but also the guys they picked up at the break have contributed. And this is always what the case is for the Dodgers, but that doesn't always mean that everybody likes everybody as much as they do. And it seems to be that that's the case now.
Well, I know that there was some frustration that the Dodgers didn't land a name at the deadline. And you see Scherzer go to Texas. You see Verlander go back to Houston. You see some names move around. Fact of the matter is, and the 5 guys that they've got, they've all contributed so far. Rosario and Hernandez have been terrific.
Right. Ahmed was a revelation,
He's been
I would say.
Great.
Yeah.
So Kike's been old Kike.
Resurrected
he looks
himself.
like Dodger Kike all over again. Lance Lynn's pitched well in both games that he's gone out there. I think he pitches again tonight. Ryan Yarbrough, again last night, looked really. He's pitched twice.
Solid
he's looked
stuff.
Good twice. Joe Kelly, other
Is
than
Joe
Evan
Kelly.
Phillips, is probably their most reliable bullpen arm.
I would say so.
Yeah. So
it's a good
they
call.
went out and got 5 guys. All 5 of them are chipping in. All 5 of them have, and none of them are Justin Verlander.
Yeah.
Max Scherzer to where, oh, okay, now I got to go win the World Series. These were all moves on the margins. They're all working pretty well. And like you were saying, playing baseball loose is far more important than playing baseball with your fist clenched.
I agree 100%.
You can play football with your fist clenched. You can't really do it in baseball. It doesn't work.
If the playoffs started today,
they're the second seed.
They're the second seed, which means they would have. I'm looking for a bracket.
They would get the highest remaining winner.
wild card. So it would probably be. It wouldn't be the Reds at this point, but
the Cubs, the Brewers.
The Cubs or the Brewers, yeah. Okay.
If they win their wild card match.
Right, exactly. Okay,
Yeah.
All right. That's not bad.
They're in a good spot.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. They're in a good spot. Like, they're not. Again, I was talking about that 100-win thing because that's just a quirky stat, but they're also not 4th or 5th down the line. You know what I mean? They're
95, 6.
They're at the top to the point that they'll be able to have a favorable matchup either way. They won't have to body their way through it, the way that they did before. Or might have to.
I'll give you the answer first before I ask you your question, because I am incredibly surprised. Not that they're in the playoff hunt, not that they're even leading the division, but here we are getting towards the middle of August, and they are comfortably ahead in this division.
Yeah.
Despite all of the injuries that they've had, the pitching problems that they have, and quite frankly, the roster that they opened the season with.
I said before this season, I didn't think this was a season in which a World Series title was a reasonable expectation, necessarily. It always is with certain teams because obviously they're good enough. But yes, I was with you. And the thing to me that's obviously the most surprising is, of course, the rest of the division has been garbage. You know what I mean? The Padres have completely fallen apart. We talked yesterday about the Juan Soto situation, him talking about guys quitting. That was the main reason why I thought this was going to be tough for the Dodgers. I thought the Pods were going to get it together.
Not San Francisco
or Arizona.
Arizona for a while. Arizona
fell back to earth.
This is one of my great things about baseball. You're going to be what you're going to be.
Yeah.
If you're a 500 team, you might win 10 in a row. That can happen. But that also means you're probably going to lose 10 in a row.
Right.
So the water is going to seek that level. If you are an average player on an average team, Your team's average. Once in a blue moon, the Giants a few years ago when they won 107
Well, when
games.
the Giants do it, they win the World Series. That's the problem.
But go back 2 years ago, right? That Giant team, I think, was predicted to win like 78 games. They won 107. That never happens.
Happen, yeah.
And they did, and they also got clipped in the first round by the Dodgers.
That's true.
It's a weird sport. It's the best sport, and who knows?
We'll see.
I'm going into it last season. It was all right, man, here it is. And now it's let's go see what happens.
It's a very
Let
different,
it hang out.
very different energy amongst everybody involved, top to bottom in the franchise.
The Dump coming up next. It's Travis Lee, 710 ESPN.
With only 8 teams remaining in the inaugural League's Cup, the Black and Gold are looking unstoppable.
The Black and Gold moving on to the quarterfinals of the League's Cup.
It's a massive showdown with Mexican giant Monterrey at the iconic Rose Bowl.
Oh my goodness, Denny!
Tonight, it's win or go home as LAFC collide with Mexican side Monterrey. Coverage begins tonight at 7 p.m. on 710 ESPN and the ESPN LA app.
I know we talked about it earlier in Factor Cap, but I want to bring it up again. So on this day, August 11, 2008, men's Olympic 4x100 freestyle relay final in Beijing happened, and it was Phelps' second of 8 golds. If he didn't get this gold, he would not have gotten the record for most golds in a single Olympics, and it potentially, I know Travis is a big fan because it could have been maybe the best final relay leg ever. And I'm going to play the sound real quick. It's from Dan Hicks and Rowdy Gaines of the call of this leg of the relay race.
I think he can do it. He's trying to ride that wave as much as possible.
Bernard is pulling away from him.
Look at the world record line.
A 3-time Olympian. World record is absolutely going to be shattered here. The United States trying to hang on to second. They should get the silver medal. Australia is in bronze territory right now, but Lizak is closing a little bit on Bernard. Can the veteran chase him down and pull off a shocker here?
Well, there's no doubt that he's tightening up.
Bernard is losing some ground. Here comes Lizak. Unbelievable at the end. He's done it. The U.S. has done it.
Gauchos.
Cody with a full fist pump in the back. Standing fist pump.
I have goosebumps.
Yeah,
I'm not joking here. It's such an amazing call, and the Olympics are such a different level than everything else sometimes. It's so cool. If you have a chance to see it yourself, I would go back and see it. And Michael Phelps, like puts his arms down, like yo.
That's the moment.
That's the moment I remember
when the guys
too.
started.
The guys on the pool deck.
They were broing out on the side of the pool.
Yeah,
and they have. It's one of the only times in 2008 too why so many world records are broken is they have these, again getting technical here. They have the full body swimsuits because men can't usually do that. So they only have the bottom part of the swimsuits, but they have the full body ones, and it's much more streamlined, and so everyone's a lot faster.
Hey, I got sound from Michael Phelps. You guys want to hear it?
Let's go! I had a feeling that was coming. That was a good one. Well done.
Where did Jason Lezak attend higher education?
I wonder where he matriculated it. Could it possibly be the same place that you did?
Ole, 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 ole.
Gaucho. See, I knew it was coming.
Well, Phelps is from the DMV, so we got that.
Yeah, he is. He is. Very true. So, just like Caleb Williams, who... people seem to. Greg had completely forgotten.
By the way,
I was texting Greg yesterday. I was like, he was going on and on with some guy about how he had a Trojan bobblehead and he was a Bruin, blah blah blah. I was like, guys, that young man is from the District of Columbia. I just want you to know that.
Yeah, but not now. Not like when he's getting ready. He's ours until he leaves and goes somewhere else.
He was the high school player of the year as a sophomore.
Yeah, that's
Gonzaga.
dumb.
He was that dude
dumb.
was nuts. Yeah.
Yeah. Morales brought me a Caleb Williams bobblehead. How about
Did
that?
he?
Remember when I asked him this? He goes, "Yeah, I'll get right on that."
Yeah. Oh, right. I thought for sure that meant he's not coming back.
So
with
I see him this
anything.
morning. I poke my head in his office. And I say good morning to him. He goes, I can't say exactly what he said to me. He goes, "Here, blankety blank," and he tosses me one along the way. But it was a very nice moment.
That's a nice gesture.
Yeah.
Good for Morales.
The
Okay.
word stick was in there.
Noted. That's a good
But
one.
it's a good bobblehead.
I don't use that one enough.
It's a really good one. I need to. I can't use it because it's kind of Chris's IP. I know he didn't come, but it's his thing.
IP.
Right.
It's one of those words that is an insult to somebody that you like a lot. You never say that to somebody you're actually trying to be mean to. You know.
Las Vegas Raiders wide receiver Davante Adams limped off the practice field today with what appeared to be a leg injury suffered during a joint practice with the San Francisco 49ers. I know you got to practice. I know you got to practice hard. I know that you need to go up against others to.
I don't like joint practice.
Iron sharpens iron. I get the whole thing. Football practice, man. Like I don't know how you avoid this because we've seen Joe Burrow go down.
Yeah.
We've seen Davante Adams potentially go down. It's just the reason we turn on these games is because we want to watch the Adamses and the Burrows of the world. And I just don't know how you get ready without doing these things.
I was watching the Dodgers telecast the other day, and this is related. And James Outman said the reason he stopped playing football and just started to play baseball all the time is he hated practicing football. He was like, I just don't like doing it. He's like, I like playing games. I just don't like practicing it that much. And stuff like this is the reason why. The potential to get hurt playing football is off the charts astronomical compared to every other sport out there.
So the last couple of days that we were down at Rams camp, I was with Kirk, I was with DeMarco. We talked with Roland Williams, talked with Jackie Slater. Key was down there. I got a chance to chat with Key a little bit. And I asked them all the same question because they're watching practice. You could tell they're watching it different than the way you and I watch.
Sure,
it. Having
they want to see certain things,
and just having been through it, they know what it feels like.
Right.
And I would, you miss it without a man. Hell no.
Absolutely not.
No, of course not. It hurts.
Right.
Football hurts.
It does.
Altman was a good football player.
Double no hitter, by the way, in this game right now.
Oh yeah. What do we?
Nobody. No.
I don't think that's like.
I realized that
both
runners that we had got via walks.
Okay. All right. D.C. and Penn. Where are they from in Pennsylvania?
Media, Pennsylvania. I don't know where that is, but I'm just going to loosely say Philly.
Emily, you're going to make me do this Tyreek Hill one, aren't you? Yes. Yeah. So I'm going to let you guys do it because I'm sitting it out.
What's going on?
Tyreek Hill listed his top wide receivers of all time. Okay.
Oh, here we go with this.
Antonio Brown, Terrell Owens, Torrey Holt, Calvin Johnson, Randy Moss. Okay. Go ahead.
What's the problem here?
Go
is
ahead.
Jerry Rice not on the list?
And I'm not participating because he's not.
Okay. I mean,
no, it's like listing the greatest hockey players of all time and not having Wayne Gretzky on the list. It's like having the greatest.
No, it's not like that.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
It's like having the greatest 5 quarterbacks of all time and not having Tom Brady on the list.
But Wayne also has the stats.
So does Jerry Rice.
Okay, but I mean, I think Wayne's stat. I mean, what I'm saying is that Wayne's stats are astronomically off the charts compared to other people.
So are Jerry Rice's.
Yeah,
it's
I don't
not
know.
even close.
I still would pick Randy Moss over Jerry Rice, pretty much.
Then you go ahead. You guys can talk
Well,
about
you know my
this.
favorite Randy Moss? Okay, I will. My favorite Randy Moss highlight clip is there's a highlight.
A disgusting act.
There's a highlight clip. If you can type this in, it's Randy Moss touchdowns over 40 yards. the thing is 7 minutes long and there are no replays. And you're just like, yo, you sort of forget like he was on a completely different plane than a lot of other people. I get the Rice discussion, but like when I think about
it's not a discussion.
I think about clearly. When I think about like, yo, Jerry Rice was a great player on a great team, but Randy Moss is a player that the way he played the position to me, it stands out as more eye-popping.
Randy Moss might be more eye-popping, and he may have had a greater YouTube channel, but he wasn't a better football. No, that's not the conversation.
I don't know that I've ever actually seen a better pro athlete than Randy Moss in his prime, outside of like Deion Sanders, if I'm being honest, like with my eyeballs, So yeah, Randy
never
Moss,
saw Bo
player. No, I mean I saw Bo play baseball, but I also think that Deion was a better athlete than Bo in many regards. But that's
Deion. I'm not throwing. I don't know if there's ever been something like Bo.
No, but Bo also. I mean, I think again they played at the same time. I think people looked at Bo's sort of off the chartsness as different. Deion, I thought, was sort of a better gamer in a lot of ways in terms of how he used what he had in order to try to make his team better. But that's another discussion. My point is that list is very short of human beings, and Randy Moss is on it.
On this day in 1991, John Daly as the 9th alternate to enter the tournament.
Your boy.
So 9 other guys need to say, I can't make it, I got hurt, I got sick, my flight got canceled. Not one guy, 9 other guys had to pull the plug. John Daly gets into the field as the 9th alternate, and he wins the damn thing pretty comfortably. He wins it by 3 strokes. And I know that we know who John Daly is now, and the legend that has become JD over the last 25, 30 years. John Daly was no one. He was
non-guy.
A bumpkin from Arkansas.
Literal non-guy.
With a mullet who could hit the ball a mile. And we're like, well, this is the greatest thing ever. And it was.
It was and it continued to be. I mean, his personal troubles obviously sort of ended his – so here's the thing. John Daly could have actually been a megastar, even with that ridiculous lifestyle. But his choices –
You talking about performance-related?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I just mean like he's still – he never really elevated above kind of cult hero. You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously he's famous. Obviously a lot of people know who he is. But, like, there is a world in which, I don't know, John Daly could have, if he so chose, could have ran for office somewhere. You know what I mean? Like, but that obviously is not the case as a result of, again, his personal choices. But, yeah, that guy really went from nobody to somebody.
John Daly's got this. John Daly, I think, only won 3 tournaments in his life.
That's amazing.
And 2 of them were majors.
That's pretty incredible.
That he won that tournament. He won the British Open one year, and then he won some weird San Francisco event.
Oh, look who walked in.
Hey, he's already got his headphones on. Ready
How
to
we
go.
doing?
Let me throw this one in there before we start a little super crosstalk here. Jorge sent me this yesterday. This is important. Fast food giant Taco Bell announced on Tuesday that they will be giving out free Doritos Locos Tacos every Tuesday. This comes after it's announced that their rival Taco John would be dropping its Taco Tuesday trademark. So if you're inclined, there will be a Doritos Locos Taco with your name on it every Tuesday.
Starts August 15th through September 5th, so it's only a couple weeks.
It's a little stunt casting there for Taco Bell. I don't mind that.
Have you had the Doritos Loco Taco?
I have not had the Doritos Locos Taco. I haven't had Taco Bell since probably Y2K, if we're being honest.
That long?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I got a job these days. When I take the elevator to the top floor, I can eat other stuff. Back in those days,
2-bite salad.
Sure, yeah, exactly. The choices were a little different.
John, you seem intrigued.
I haven't had Taco Bell since I'm with Clinton. Yeah. I haven't had it in probably 20 years.
Maybe I'm confusing your intrigue with confusion.
Yeah, no. I don't understand. Like, did you eat Taco Bell like this year?
Yes.
You did?
Oh, yeah.
Is there one by your house?
Yeah.
I have a Taco Bell that's walking distance from my house.
Do you go there often?
I go there some nights.
Yeah, that's the correct answer. Some nights Taco Bell is the right choice.
Yeah.
You're headed home. It's like, it's right there.
I get it.
It's the last thing I'm going to see before I get home.
I can't. I have not lived anywhere near a Taco Bell or worked anywhere near a Taco Bell.
Not quite
ages.
Walking distance, but it
sometimes a burrito supreme with extra sour cream is like
sometimes
my jam.
You're speaking my language. You're speaking my language. Sometimes. Absolutely. Still a little super crosstalk.
ESPN AM 710 Los Angeles. KRDC AM 1110 Pasadena, Los Angeles.
K256CX 99.1 FM Pasadena, Los Angeles.
It's the greatest segment in LA sports radio history.
Oh my God. When the as shows come together for magic on the radio.
It will only grow stronger. Super Crosstalk.
Are we ready for Mason and Ireland to join Travis and Slee?
Super Crosstalk begins. Super Crosstalk presented by In-N-Out Burger. In-N-Out. That's what a hamburger is all about.
It's time for Super
All right, Mace, you're back. And so today I'm
Welcome
going
back.
to the ballpark to see
nice.
Fernando get his propers, as I like to say. And we've been discussing his legacy for the past couple days here with Travis. And I said something that was a little bit of a surprise to Travis, but I think after we discussed it, it made sense. And I want to know if you agree with me. To me, the most famous Los Angeles Dodger there is Fernando Valenzuela.
The most famous. More famous than Sandy Koufax.
I think you're forgetting somebody.
More famous than...
There's two somebodies, I think.
There are two somebodies?
The answer to the question you've posed is Jackie Robinson.
Jackie Robinson never
played
played. Slow down. Jackie Robinson never played for the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Well, he played at UCLA.
That's my point, though. Yeah, but I'm saying Los Angeles Dodgers. When you think about and I'm saying this is somebody that's not from here.
Right.
If I think about the LA Dodgers, the person I think about is Fernando Valenzuela.
If you found a 30-year-old, somewhere, and took a picture and showed them Fernando Valenzuela and Tommy Lasorda, are they not more likely to recognize Tommy than Fernando?
They are.
Well, because Tommy lasted a little longer.
And did a bunch of TV commercials.
Tommy, I think is
in the regard of the game,
but
of
I
the
think
players.
players.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like Fernando, and this is where we were talking about this because we talked about how long it took for him to get his number retired, the Hall of Fame discussion, all that. And to me, as somebody that's, come here, lives here now, but obviously didn't grow up here, I'm like, there's Fernando, and there's everybody else well behind that.
Well, and I've been here 30 years, but I missed FernandoMania.
Sure.
So everything I know about Fernando comes from the
lore, the documentary FernandoMania.
FernandoMania. Yeah. That's where I learned about what it was like in
John,
this
do
town.
you vividly remember it the way that I do?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was, we were talking about it earlier. It was not just that he was Mexican and had come here in a community that has a lot of Mexican immigrants, Mexican Americans.
Yep.
You almost lose track of the fact how good he was.
Right.
That when he showed up, his first 18 starts, he went 10-0 with 5 shutouts, 8 complete games, and an ERA of under a half a run. It was 0.4.
Right.
And the phenomena of FernandoMania resonates, and I think that people that didn't even experience it remember it, but the excellence of performance, I think, has gotten lost somehow, some way. That how good he was has gotten missed.
That's where the Hall of Fame discussion comes in.
Well, you know what's interesting about the Hall of Fame? Like, I completely understand that Fernando's numbers may not be Hall of Fame worthy compared to other pitchers that are in the Hall of Fame. But, I come from the NBA. Pau Gasol's going into the NBA Hall of Fame this weekend. The reason Pau Gasol's going in...
International.
Right. Is that he came from Spain and basically was the greatest player to come out of Spain ever, and now we're going to see people coming in for Spain. Why isn't Fernando afforded the same courtesy?
He should be.
Again, this is exactly what my point was. I was like, listen, as somebody that was a huge baseball fan my whole life who wasn't from here, Fernando Valenzuela is what you knew of the Los Angeles Dodgers in terms of lore to a certain degree. It stuns me that it took this long.
If Pau
for this to
Gasol's
happen.
name was Pete Gates, okay, I'm not sure he gets in. But Pau Gasol gets in for sure for his contributions internationally to the game. I think you can make the same argument for Fernando.
Absolutely.
And the
No
Dodgers,
doubt.
by the way,
No
are
doubt.
breaking protocol here. There's only one guy whose number is retired.
Jim Gilliam.
Yeah, who died.
Well, that's the thing. The
prematurely.
protocol to me is bizarre in this scenario. I'm like, again,
well, what it does
Fernando.
do.
That's why rules are generally stupid because you need to have some context to your rules.
Right, but I can tell you why the Lakers do it. Is because the Lakers rule is if you get into the Hall of Fame, we'll retire your number. And the reason is that if they didn't do it that way, you could make an argument for 20 other people.
Sure.
You can make an argument for Robert Horry. Hit some of the biggest
Like a
shots.
Derek Fisher type?
You can make an argument for Derek Fisher.
Yeah.
You certainly can make an argument. I actually think Michael Cooper's going to get in.
To the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, I do. And then but they won't retire his number unless he does. And the reason that the Lakers would literally run out of numbers if they were like the Celtics. The Celtics have retired like 40 guys.
Right. I mean, I get all that, but my point is in that scenario, devil's advocates and potential pitfalls down the line, none of those people are Fernando.
Right.
None of them.
Well, and by the
way,
the numbers are better than we think. I mean,
that's what Trav was getting at.
173 games in his career and had a 3.54 ERA.
That's
pretty damn good.
It is.
It's good, but it's not Hall of Fame good.
It's not. And to go into the more modern numbers, that the number to get into the Hall of Fame as a pitcher, your career
200.
WAR is about 60-something.
Sure, yeah.
And his is significantly
Well,
lower.
I mean, if you guys want the best example, I mean, and a lot of this is political. There is no legitimate reason Curt Schilling should not be in the Hall of Fame. He was the best big game pitcher maybe in the history of baseball. He's not in the Hall of Fame because he's a jerk.
Well, to be fair, that's the other side of the coin that I don't mind either. People don't like you, so what? But that's not Fernando's situation. That's what
Right,
I'm
no,
saying.
that's not. It doesn't relate to Fernando.
Right.
That's
Well, that's my point is that there's no consistency here. I
Right.
mean,
No, you're right.
If you're not going to let Schilling in, how does
Well,
Fernando?
yeah, I mean,
get in?
Schilling should be in. I mean, he's had a bunch of wackadoodle stuff.
Wackadoodle stuff, yes. And Schilling, this kind of makes your point, John, and I think it cuts the other way a little bit, too. Almost all of Schilling's excellence is postseason excellence. His regular season stuff is fairly pedestrian.
Those are
Yeah.
Trev, in most sports, what gets you in is stunning, blow me away statistics like Dan Fouts,
Right.
or ridiculous postseason success like Derek Jeter,
Yeah.
or
this is the
Pedro
problem.
Martinez.
This is the problem with Cooperstown is that, and in general, and which then leads into the Dodgers. It blows my mind to me that of all of the things we have capable to put somebody in who has impacted the game that much, that has taken this long. Point being, I'm really glad I'm going to be there today. Like, I'm genuinely looking forward to it.
By the way, I was watching last night, and everybody should be in their seats by 6 o'clock tonight for the ceremony.
Okay, all right.
Because it'll start with all kinds of
video tributes.
Yeah, all
and
that stuff.
yeah,
That's good to know. Thank you.
It's going to be. They did one for Oral a couple of weeks ago that I had a chance to
I
go
was at
to.
the Oral
Did you go to that
one?
one too?
I thought
It was terrific.
Great.
Oral's not in the Hall of Fame, right?
He's not.
Yeah.
He's not. And I guess that's the argument for that. Once you decide to do these things, that the gate is open for the next best really good guy.
Right.
And Hershiser's numbers, the numbers themselves are better than Fernando.
I remember at one point, a friend of mine who works for the Lakers said, "Hey, in the media room, there are certain groups of people. Like there's Laker employees who always sit at one table, and they were reserving tables. And so he said, "Hey, I came up with the idea of I want to name a table." Like so we'll know the tables aren't numbered. So he goes, we'll have a Shaq table and a Kobe table and a Kareem table. And I go, they'll never let you do it. And I said, because once you start naming them, somebody's going to get mad.
Where's my table?
Right, right. And so and so that's why, for example, the Lakers just made a rule, and for the most part, the Dodgers have this rule. But now, as you mentioned, it's the second time they're going away from it. They retired Jim Gilliam, and now they're going to retire Fernando. And now, Trav, to your point, I think they have to do it for Oral.
Sure.
Well, and by the way, Oral's numbers are really pretty good.
They're terrific.
He won 204 games with a 3.5 ERA.
They're terrific.
Yeah, I mean, those are really strong.
Yes.
Plus, he's got the record,
so
which will stand for as long
And,
as...
So
and
stick
what you were
with
talking
me
about a
here.
second ago, wild postseason success.
Yeah.
Then I think once you do it for Oral, you have to do it for Steve Garvey.
Yeah, I guess this stuff is all
the
so
argument.
far down the line to me because again, none of these people are Fernando Valenzuela.
Right.
And that's where I feel like
I don't think they're
Fernando was
I don't
a
think they're
phenomenon.
again, and that is a factor here. It's still called the Hall of Fame for a reason,
right.
and I do think that and this is sort of a larger issue I have with the baseball world in general, which is. The people who are obsessed with the numbers do not, in fact, represent most people who actually like baseball in terms of the larger populace of fans around the country, never mind around the globe. And this, to me, is such an obvious one. You can tell the story of Mexican-American baseball fans and the whole entire lineage of that through one guy who everybody loved for a period of time in which he dominated the league. What are we doing?
Right. Well, does everybody remember the Scott Rowland phenomenon when that took off? And remember, we were
I'm so glad.
thrilled by
see
that.
what I'm saying?
Can I be honest for a second?
Yeah.
Was Scott Rowland ever the best player on his own team?
No.
No.
Scott Rowland was the one that made me give up.
Yeah.
It was literally the one that. Okay, this is stupid.
Right, and
this is stupid. And I don't mean to crap on Scott Rowland specifically, but it was one of those. No one ever was driving up the hill at Dodger Stadium
I gotta
saying,
see Scott
"Tonight
Rowland."
I get to see Scott Rowland."
It's Scott Rowland night.
And that's where, from a larger sort of cultural standpoint, I'm fighting a battle that's almost bigger than Fernando in some ways. It's like, look, this guy mattered too much to keep him out based on what he did compared to, I don't know, Scott Rowland.
So, Trav, you brought up the question earlier. You guys were talking about, we did this earlier in the week. about the guy who wears a Packers jersey to the Rams-Niners game.
Right. What?
Right.
That's
And like,
so
what's
random.
it? So here's my pet peeve.
Okay.
And it was so funny because I said immediately the name that popped into my head was Dave Singer.
Oh, yeah.
Is the guy who wears a Dodger jersey with his own name on the back.
Oh, never.
That's a cardinal offense.
Yeah, that's actually.
And I said
that is jailable
I said I haven't talked to him in years, but I guarantee you Dave Singer has a Dodger jersey with his
question.
name. And Singer called the show. He goes, and I said, "Do you have one?" Yeah,
Of course.
Last time you went to a Dodger game, did you wear it? Yes, I did. Yeah, and I
Well, the only jersey I have with my name on the back is LAFC.
Sure,
which-
they gave it to
wait,
you.
wait.
Because they gave
That
it.
that you're okay because
Right, 'cause
you
I
were
was
the Falconer.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yes, I have a couple jerseys that have been given with my name on them as well from teams like, various teams.
I have
around
a
the
couple of LAFC ones with my name on
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
morning show when we go out there and do
Nice.
it.
Right.
I have one other jersey that has my name on it. When I worked for the Angels,
Did you throw out the first pitch
to
or
throw out
something?
the first pitch, they gave
Nice.
me a jersey with my name on it.
If
which
you
was
ever wear it to
wonderful.
a game, you're a loser.
There's another wrinkle to this particular jersey. They had our frequency on the back instead of a number. It says 830.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's a 3-digit number
on your
Can't
back.
wear
the back.
that.
And
Does that work for
So
you?
you look like a whale.
My friends delight in pointing out that I am one of the
You
few
take up
people
enough
that can
space.
pull off a 3-digit number across
That's
my
funny.
back.
That is
yeah,
funny.
It
But
is a weird look.
When we were talking about this, it led to a whole discussion about. Did you guys see the picture of Carson Wentz earlier this week?
Yeah, he
Yeah,
had.
He
well,
was
all
doing
the different
Right,
things.
so he had an
Yeah.
Eagles helmet, Commander's jersey, and Colts shorts.
Yeah.
Is that allowed? Can I go to a Dodger game with a Red Sox hat and a Dodger jersey?
If you're Carson Wentz, you can do it because
Right.
you're leaning into the fact that you're auditioning for work.
You have no work.
Right. But if John Ireland shows up at a Dodger
In
game
a Red
in
Sox
Sox hat, a Cincinnati
it
Red
makes no
shorts, and
sense.
Marlins T-shirt, then you're just a jackass.
Mason mixes swirls all the time when he comes in. Like right now, you might be doing it. What
No,
do you-
no.
you're all
I
Rams.
always, I'm professional matcher. I'm wearing Rams and Rams.
I have
hat,
another
Rams
rule
tee.
you coming to
that
the
you're
game
currently
on Saturday?
violating.
Tonight.
Saturday. Are you going to the game?
No, he
Football
doesn't
game?
do
No,
You don't do
preseason.
preseason?
No, no.
Okay.
You're
Just thought
violating.
I gave away. I sold my tickets.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very well.
Somebody bought them
Yes, somebody did.
Wow, there you go.
$200 a seat
for preseason.
For
Good for
Do they,
preseason.
you.
Are they
yeah.
under the impression that Taylor Swift is still there?
Yeah, they think Taylor is going to be there
Hanging around,
to do the halftime show.
So what do you think about this? And Mason is currently violating the rule that I'm about to throw
Oh,
out
no.
there.
Okay.
What is it?
More than one piece of logoed items at any time.
Not
I break
at
that
a
rule all the time.
Yeah, not at a game. At a game, you're okay.
Yeah.
At a
Sure.
game, if you go to a Dodger game with a Dodger jersey and a Dodger hat on, you're fine.
Okay.
But if you go to a game with an Angels jersey and it's a Dodgers Giants game, that makes no sense
Right.
to me.
And there are those random people at Rams games. So I'm like, what are you
They're
wearing
so
a Tampa Bay
obsessed.
Buccaneers
Right, they're
jersey
so
for?
obsessed with letting everybody know who they root for.
That
as
you
if
know what
anybody
football
cares.
is. Like,
as
it's-
if anybody cares. You're at a game with two opponents and you're bringing in a third element. That's how egomaniacal you are. I don't get it.
Emily's right. It's like a football costume. It's
Yeah.
like
Right.
this
Right.
is my
Yeah.
costume that I wear to these games, as opposed to I like this particular team. Very quickly before I jump out of here, has there been anything even remotely close that you guys can recall to FernandoMania, where just a dude showed up that, what is it?
When Hideo Nomo came to pitch for the Dodgers, it reinvented itself. When Jeremy Lin went to the Knicks,
Lynn's
That was
a good
the person we
example.
talked about.
it
Lynn's
was
a good example.
It was the you couldn't get into the Garden. I called the 38-point game against the Lakers when
Yeah.
Kobe famously said before the game, "I don't know who this kid is." You guys are all asking, and then Jeremy Lin drops 38 on him.
Yeah. Lynn's the right answer.
So Lynn's sanity was comparable to Fernando but Nomo, like if you go back and look at the attendance when Fernando pitched,
the attendance was off the charts, John, but the difference is we hadn't seen him, but you knew he was a successful pro, just in a different league.
Yeah.
Like Lynn's like, who the hell is this guy?
When
Nobody's watching Ivy League basketball.
When Nomo won Rookie of the Year for the Dodgers, he would pitch, and the attendance would be, Dodgers always draw well, but the attendance would be 35, 37, 36, 52 when Nomo pitched.
Yeah.
And that was Fernando. You know, it would be good attendance, and then when Fernando pitched, you couldn't get a ticket.
And Fernando, too, the games weren't even, very few of the games were on television. You know, there was before.
If you had on TV, you
on
could
TV
watch.
was the only way you could do it. There was no ESPN package. There's no Fox Sports or Bally's or any of that stuff. That you'd get a game of the week if you were lucky at Dodger Stadium.
Right.
You had to wait for them to go on the road, and they'd be on Channel 11.
Right.
That was it.
The one guy I remember that was like a super phenomenon and it's old school. Clinton,
Vida
you'll
Blue?
know. You guys don't know. No. Mark Fidrich. Do you
Oh,
remember
the
Mark
Bird.
Fidrich, the Bird?
Yeah.
Who had like a 2-season career, was unbelievable, was famous because he talked to himself the entire
he talked to the
game.
ball.
Talked to the ball. I mean, it was like
write things in
like
the dirt.
a super weird, weird
Vida
thing.
Blue, Vida Blue was on a similar sort of
Was
a plane.
Vida Blue
So-
there?
so-
Yeah.
I mean, Vida Blue was a guy who did. I mean, he won 3.
Just passed away, right?
What a great name.
I did a lot of. I wrote about him, so I did a lot of research on him. I remember looking back, thinking, "My God, this guy was a monster." You know, for a good 4 or 5 seasons, and then it just kind of went away.
It may not be a 30 for 30, but I think it is. But it's a doc that's out there somewhere on Fidrich.
Yeah.
I think it's a 30 for 30.
Yeah.
Not just the base, but what happened post baseball life.
Oh, yeah.
And he had a very tragic death. It's fascinating.
Well, I saw him pitch in the minors after he had already done that stuff at the big league level, and he was trying to figure out what was right. I don't think he ever made it back to the big
I
leagues.
don't think so.
No.
And that's when Monday Night Baseball was a thing. Remember they had
Monday
Keith
night.
Jackson.
I also
calling
remember
Monday Night Baseball.
Saturday afternoon baseball.
Oh,
was
yeah,
also
Game of the
a
Week.
thing.
Right.
Game of the
With
Week.
Joe
Scully.
Garagiola and Tony Kubek.
Kubek and Gragiola
How
and
about
Scully, and it was a good time to be a Dodger fan at that
yeah.
time. Super Crosstalks brought to you by In-N-Out Burger. In-N-Out, that's what a hamburger is all about. We'll see you Monday.